All right, Hardyaners. We are today. I'm going to attempt to pronounce your name correctly. Sonja Pototzki.
Oh, come on.
Pototzki-Raymond. You pronounce it.
Pototzki.
Pototzki?
No, Pototzki.
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 Yeah. All right. So Sonja
Potato.
is here to talk about resilience, psychedelics. But actually, before we dive into what we spoke about, this episode is brought to you by alltradescover.com.au. If you're watching at home, and you can see behind our lovely guests there, their beautiful logo there. All Trades Cover will cover you. Actually, I'm not going to say who they will what they'll cover you for. Who they're going to cover is basically all tradies, sole traders, big business, small business. They basically cover everyone now. Liability insurance, whatever you sort of need in regards to your business, get involved. The alltradescover.com.au. The crew there are going to really help you with what you need. And please drop our name, Hard Yarns. It definitely helps with us and directing people to their website. So alltradescover.com.au. If you're a tradie, hit them up. This episode is also brought to you by Crafted Finance. Crafted Finance, that we're going to have a lot more details on what they're actually delivering and giving you as a business. But basically, very broadly speaking, they are some bankers who became quite disillusioned with the banking system. So instead of leaving the finance system themselves, they decided they're going to help people to make the best decisions possible, to make sure they're not paying so much money to the big banks and all the corporate loopholes and blah, 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 blah. But they have sent me some stuff to actually read through to be able to give you a more in-depth idea of what they're giving. But sort of, we're giving them a few extra episodes on this month, but as of June, they're going to be bang on big sponsors. So Crafted Finance, hit them up. We've got links in our bio and also in the show notes to their website, that where you can make contact with them, and they're going to help you with your mortgages and loans. And they're very good people, very like-minded to what we have spoken about today as well. So I love them. Get involved with Crafted Finance. But today we were joined by Sonja to talk about her book launch, The Search for Resilience, number 1 in 7 categories across Amazon. Sonja, what do we talk about today?
We went down the rabbit hole of plant medicine.
Yes.
We've spoken about our decision when it comes to doing the right thing, take the blue pill, take the red pill. Mm-hmm. We also spoke about building a business to 7 figures. Mm-hmm. We spoke about healing our inner child.
Yes.
We spoke about intergenerational trauma. We spoke about fertility.
Yep.
We spoke about how modern medicine and alternative medicine can both coexist. Mm-hmm. And there's not one without the other. We spoke about like-minded people and the importance of being disciplined. We spoke about self-worth.
Yep.
We spoke about magic mushrooms. I know I said plant medicine, 5-MeO-DMT.
Yep.
We spoke about the duality of the universe.
We went deep on this one. Even phones and the damage phones are having on our relationships.
Did.
Very good episode.
Yeah, I'm glad that you liked it.
It's an awesome episode. Listeners, you're going to love this one. So without further ado,
welcome to Hard Yarns Podcast.
I am fucking fat.
Anything Chris White says, please disregard it.
5D is actually a state of being. It's a unity consciousness.
That was Hard Yarns with me, Frankie Rose. So I'm going to throw it over to your co-host,
Daniel Delby.
and Cameron Branch.
I would do this and then I'd gong.
Free in attendance for the millions listening at home. Let's get hard.
But what's your accent? Is that?
That's Irish.
Irish. Yeah, perfect. I've got Irish in me, actually.
Do you really?
Yes, my mum and my mum's side.
Ah.
Yeah, I don't know enough about it though. Like I should. I am going to the UK though, and so her mum's Irish. She lived in the UK, and I don't know where they were. I should find that out because I'm going there and a month. So
Yeah.
she go find out where Mum grew up. But thanks for joining us.
Pleasure.
Appreciate you coming in. Beautiful book here. Search
thank
for
you.
Resilience. I'm going to give that a good old read. Anything that's based on resilience, I think a lot of our listeners like, and psychedelics. There's just you've touched on two very juicy topics that me and Delby love talking about. So, before we get into the episode, maybe give a brief rundown who you are and what this book's about.
Yeah, my name is Sonja Pototzki-Raymond, aka Sonja the Search Queen. I'm a CEO, author, keynote speaker, fertility advocate, resilience advocate. Recently 40 under 40 award winner 3 weeks
Really?
ago. Yeah,
Awesome.
Yeah,
How
yeah, I won that.
Yep.
So I help businesses be found on Google for the problems that they solve.
Yep.
And I run an agency that specializes in Google. And I have 2 beautiful miracle baby daughters. Sage is 2 years and 10. She'll be 3 in July. 2 years and 10 months. And then Willow is 9 months old.
Yeah.
And my 2 girls are my greatest teachers. But yes, this book was created and wrote as a dedication to them.
Yep.
They're my greatest why. My fertility journey has been the catalyst to crack my heart wide open, and go and do that shadow work and lean into the darkness and the hard times.
The
and
work none of us wanted to do.
well, we can't go through life chasing all the pluses without embracing the lows. And I think in our culture, we're very much, even when you see on social media, people only show the amazing times and the happy times and the highlight reel. They don't show the darkness that nobody sees, you know. And I think that's
Well,
it's not
sometimes
balanced.
if people try to show their darkness, it can come across as a bit
icky.
Yeah, it'd be like, if you were really upset, do it in private.
100%. But I do think though that there's a way to show that side, and I 100% resonate with you because I avoid at all costs trauma dumping on my audience. But I would only share something from a perspective of getting the lesson when you can add value. And that's what I very much try to aim to do with the stuff that I share online. I'm like, even when I'm in the thick of things, once I've got the lesson, I don't need to overshare, but I can show breadcrumbs of how I've seen lessons and things in the darkness, you know?
Yeah. And it's and so number 1 in a fair few categories, eh?
7 categories on Amazon, yeah. So number 1 bestseller.
Fucking hell.
I know.
We've got a number 1 best-selling author
It's like
on
my
the
third
podcast.
baby. My third baby.
Yeah, that's incredible. But and so resilience is such a it's such a it's a trend in certain ways. So obviously this must resonate with people a bit stronger than normal.
Yeah.
But how do you, like, it's very easy to say, okay, I'm going to teach you how to be resilient. Everyone seems to have the answers. Where do we start here? Why is yours different?
I just think as a culture, people give up very easily on things, and I believe that people think when we're going through tough times that they make it wrong. And essentially the book was created to be that guidebook to help people withstand life's toughest challenges, because nobody gets out of life unscathed, whether it's a fertility journey, whether you lose somebody, whether it's mental health challenges, whether it's grief, whether it's abandonment issues, whether it's intergenerational trauma, conditioning. There's a lot that you go through in life, and essentially the quicker that you can see the lesson in what the universe is trying to show you, the quicker you can move through it with grace. And the thing is, when we're thinking about resilience, I very much think of it like bringing your brain to the gym, because you can build muscles physically, but like you have to do the work on your mindset. And resilience for me is very much a mind game, and putting your brain through massive feats and coming out the other side stronger. Because when we do go through tough times, even when it never makes sense when you're in it, it always makes sense when you're like out of it, looking backwards. So for me, resilience is all about that mental strength to withstand life's toughest battles, because I find like the stuff that used to probably derailed me years ago. It's like water off a duck's back. I'm like,
Yeah.
that's just such a little problem. Do you know what I mean?
It's just so
You can handle
hard
more.
at the time to see it
Yeah.
in that it's a gym session.
Absolutely.
Because it is at that time
Yeah.
the worst thing that could be possibly happening to you, or
Absolutely.
feels like it in certain ways. So,
Absolutely.
But in hindsight, a lot of my hardest moments, for example, I
Mm-hmm.
look back on now as building character and strength, and whether that's a training or whether that's traumas, I think they all add value. It's just hard to see it. I mean, are we meant to see it like that as it's happening, or are we meant to
I think it's a
feel
reflection.
the pain?
I think the minute the war comes up or you're in the war zone, our first initial thought is like, how do I get out? How to make the pain stop?
Yeah.
So you actually are resisting it more. And the more that you don't get the lesson, you'll see the patterns pop up in life in other
Yeah.
ways. And you'll keep getting those like subtle hints until you actually pay attention. If you don't pay attention, you get a sledgehammer.
Yeah. I
Wake
think
up and
feather brick truck.
Absolutely.
I think we've talked about a few times. Yeah. You
Yeah.
get a couple of little tickles.
little breadcrumbs. And I think it's about like, we're so distracted that sometimes we forget the obvious signs right in front of us.
Yeah.
And it's about tuning in to your inner self and your gut and your energy within.
Yeah.
That is like, we're very much outwardly influenced by people saying, look here, look this, buy my thing, buy my that, like scroll on social media. We're always compared, like when you go on socials, like so many people feel so terrible about themselves because they play that comparison game, you know, but I think we live in a culture where we're designed to fit in, where people want us to fit in. And I think the more that you can embrace your individuality, knowing that none of us are meant to be like one another. Like we're not meant to wear uniforms. We're not meant to shut up, stay in line, be quiet. Don't tell the teacher, like don't back answer the teacher. You get kicked out of class. Like that was me. I was a rebel. I was always kicked out of class.
Yeah.
And I think if we think about like society, that's how they control us too. Because if you think about like, if our conditioning is that we're designed that we're taught not to stand out, like being in business, you have to stand out to do well, you know? So if we're taught that from a very early age and our belief systems are formed in school years, it's no wonder why people struggle to put themselves out there when they start a business, you know, or put themselves on camera, or all of the things, because it just mirrors out everything that we've been taught and how we've been brought up.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm going to go on another tangent if you want me to.
Keep going. It's all good. Wherever it goes, it goes.
Yeah. So that's I wanted to just say that.
Well, I think, something I've noticed lately that when you go through something challenging, it obviously builds that sort of strength. And I've been feeling in this, it's an interesting topic, because some of the things that I've been doing, and I'm only talking about from my point of view, but my life feels a lot easier these days. And I think for a lot of people, life is pretty easy considering in comparison to what it has been in the past. And once you start getting into a better place, I think it's still important to keep challenging yourself and pressuring yourself. And I've used running as my thing. So I do ultra marathons. They're quite difficult, obviously. And I think that putting that sort of pain, yourself under that pain, it makes things a bit easier sometimes.
Absolutely.
Because sitting here in this comfortable chair is easy. And it's not, I don't want to take it for granted. But I also don't want to disrespect the fact that I do have it's this fine line if you...
Yeah, and I love that you're saying that, because you've absolutely touched on a point that I believe to be true in my core. If you don't create your own challenges, you will get served up a challenge that you haven't asked for.
Yeah.
So the fact that you're challenging yourself and you're stretching yourself to do those ultra marathons, you're in control of your own challenge.
Yeah.
So the thing is, in life, we're designed to grow, you know, and if we're not growing, we're dying.
That's another thing that's come up lately. Just this realization: if I'm not presented with a challenge coming up, like I have no ultras booked in, for example. Yeah, I got nothing that I'm working towards at the moment, and I sit there and think, well, is the challenge, like you just said, that if you're not challenged, you're not growing, and if we're not growing, we're dying. So there's been this thing where the last week I've just let it go. my partner's been working towards running she did the HBF thing, and it was awesome to just get around her and support her in that. But in that whole week, I had nothing I was working towards, and it felt a little bit empty.
But you know what? Sometimes it is okay, because the first step is awareness, and sometimes you need to have compassion for yourself to just be there for your partner, or you might have been challenged in ways that to the average person would have been a big challenge, but you haven't given yourself that credit.
Yeah, potentially. And there's also, but the other aspect of that is, is me needing something, and this goes for everyone. Like Ultra's my one, but like it could be, I don't know, just going to the gym every day or whatever it is they're trying to do, build a business, meet a partner, whatever it ends up being. Is needing that, or having that challenge in place, is that just distracting you from your own, your own self being with you? Well,
you can look at it both ways, but I also feel like you can, like, if you're complacent, and you might perceive it being complacent, but my point is that if we're being focused and disciplined, which you absolutely are, that's you being in control of your own challenge as well. It doesn't have to be this groundbreaking, massive challenge to work towards, but the fact that you're being very disciplined and you're focused and you're organized with your life, and you're feeding your body with nourishing food, all of these things, that all constitutes you growing as well, It doesn't have to be this groundbreaking, massive challenge that you want to climb Mount Everest, for example. Like, it's about what it defines, like, and also taking stock of what you have on your plate and how you've actually overcome stuff that you already have, and knowing that life doesn't always have to be a challenge. Yeah. It can be up and it can be down. Like, and I said this yesterday at my book launch, is that I've had a mammoth run of taking on a book, saying yes to writing my book when I was pregnant. Well, I actually had my manuscript for 4 years.
Yeah.
And I handed it to my editor, thinking like, oh yeah, we can crystallize a book from here. Great. I don't need to do that part. And then I was like, they said, yeah, cool. So I literally have said to them recently, I'm like, don't ever take a pregnant woman on again. Don't fucking do that. Like, don't take their money. Like, I've made a rational decision. Not that I regret it. Like, I believe everything happens in divine timing. Yeah. But I'm an absolutely certifiable lunatic, the timing that I did it. You know what I mean? Like, why? Like, I was 6 months pregnant when I said yes to it. Like, I signed off on the cover of the book the day my daughter was born. Like, wow. It's crazy. Yeah. And it's 9 months now, like, that my daughter is 9 months old. So, like, it's the third baby. Like, the timing of things is just wild.
Well, my only concern of that realization with myself was like, is it a concern that I need a challenge to feel?
Well, the need for significance. Do you need to feel significant? Because that's one of the basic human needs.
Again, this is the thing, is like, do I need to? Well,
are you enough for yourself?
Yeah, that's what I mean. Do I need any of this?
But the fact that you're even asking those questions is challenging you.
Yeah, good. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It doesn't have to be anything groundbreaking, I find. I think that the fact that you're asking those hard questions that most people would be asleep to even thinking about going down that rabbit hole, or even asking. Yeah. Like, because you will always get what you're asking.
Well, that's it. And I said to Grace this morning, I was like, am I doing these just to distract myself from and everything else, from me? And maybe.
Mm-hmm. I can resonate with that, because in my second trimester with Willow, a close family member, was diagnosed with cancer, and for me, my whole pregnancy was very, very inward, as in heavy, dense, and the baby would have felt that, like Willow would have felt that, and I found it very hard to come to terms with that. And then then when she was born, she had colic, reflux, tongue tie, lip tie, all of the things. And I was like, this baby needs to stop crying before I lose my fucking mind.
That colic stage.
Oh man. And my first daughter, there was no issue whatsoever.
Was that after the vaccinations?
My children are vaccinated.
I mean, well done. I mean, I'm very jealous of that. Yeah. But yeah, Scotty's came up straight after the vaccinations, the colic anyway. Yeah. Which we knew was going to be
great question that you've asked me that, though. I'm like, do you really want to go there? Yeah. Well, let's go there, because I'm happy to go there. Yeah. I firstly want to preface that I don't judge anyone that vaccinates their kids. It's very much a personal, educated decision that I made when I was pregnant with Sage. I didn't get the COVID jab because we had a huge fertility journey. And my gosh, this was a gut instinct and a gut reaction that was like, you can't get that because it's just be another obstacle in your way from having your family. So anyone that came to me saying, oh my God, you're not getting the COVID vaccine, like, oh my God, you're going to kill people around you. I'm like, yeah, come back to me when you've had a 3-year fertility journey.
Yeah.
You don't have a leg to stand on, so don't even have that conversation with me.
Look how wrong they were as well. So
yeah, look what's happening.
Yeah, we're seeing some fucking very
vaccine injured people, and like I was very vocal about it on my Facebook profile.
Yep.
I couldn't really be that vocal.
That's the worst place to do it because
I
you got the family and the friends and they're
did,
so
and
scathing and I was the same. Like I was staunch against it. And
I had to, but you know what? In that moment, I had to stand on my own story to be like, I am doing this because I know that it's not going to serve me in my fertility journey.
Yeah.
And then you see the record amount of people have had miscarriages or stillbirths after being vaccinated with the COVID jab. Like again, look, I don't want to make claims and I don't want to be, but your listenership would be very much awake to this. You're the Joe Rogan of Perth. Just giving you the plug. So for me, I went on that journey of going down the rabbit hole, exploring all vaccines, because I knew no better than to get the vaccine, that's what you did when you were a child.
Yeah.
The MMR, all the things. And I went to Thailand my first time probably about 15 years ago.
Yeah.
And I got the shots and everything to go to Thailand because it's just something you did and I didn't question it. But had it not been for COVID, I wouldn't have questioned it.
Yeah.
You don't think anybody would have. And now my daughter, Sage, who's in daycare, like a lot of the kids that she goes to daycare, which is at a home daycare, and every one of the kids aren't vaxxed and they all have the same story as me. They would have never been anti-vax, only the fact of COVID.
This is the good thing is not necessarily that people are turning away from vaccinations because potentially they are important, but it's at least making people question things and not just blindly believing things. And then people going, well, yeah, why wasn't there double-blind placebo safety tests done? Like, why?
But why didn't anyone ask that question? Like, why didn't more people ask that question?
Exactly.
I'm like, are you serious?
Well, now their argument is like, well, we can't do it now because that would actually be more damaging because it's, that's a very dangerous thing to do, to take away these vaccines. And like, well, what's very dangerous to do is not test them safely, test them for safety in the first place and then just chuck them out broadly amongst the masses. Also, when people say, well, I was vaccinated and I'm fine, you're like, well, me and you, when we were kids, we had 7.
I know the schedule is like 70 plus, like it's 10 times more than what it is. And that's nowhere documented.
Yeah.
And also like what I've heard recently and what I've researched and what actually disgusts me is even on the vaccine schedule for kids, they now including the COVID jab.
Yeah.
Without parents knowing.
Yeah.
And it's like, are you actually serious?
Well, even now, the most recent admission by the FDA is they've changed their warnings or their requirements for their warnings for Pfizer and Moderna, I think it was, or definitely for Pfizer, that they have to include the risk of heart conditions like myocarditis and pericarditis, and they've also stopped recommending it for healthy people under 65 because it's not required. And the fact that these things weren't safety tested for what for the boosters and actually having an impact, that's a concern as well. Why weren't they tested? Why weren't they safety checked?
Well, they didn't need to because everyone was brainwashed.
Yes. So
it's like, oh, sure, what was then nobody would take them because it's poison. Like it's like if you look on the back label of any vaccine, like it'll blow you away what's in them. And like when you look at children with autism and the research to support that, I'm actually going to drop a few documentaries. I'm not talking like, oh, I'm like, wearing the tinfoil hat here. Like this is based on research. Like the truth about vaccines, I'd recommend anyone to watch that documentary series. Also the Real Anthony Fauci by Robert Kennedy Jr.
Yeah.
Like read that book. My husband read that for us, but I'm the type of person I'll get very consumed with the darkness that I couldn't. If I went down that rabbit hole, like I get lost. This happened to me in COVID. I watched The Fall of the Cabal, part 1 and part 2 series, and everything was really like, Jesus, the world is very dark.
The Fall of the Cabal. Yes, I did watch that.
Yeah, and it talks about the Illuminati and all of the stuff happening, child trafficking, and honestly, that served me to a point, but like you have to empower yourself and peel back layers and do your research and make your own decisions on things based on research rather than joining the crowd. You know what I mean?
Well, when that sort of knowledge becomes widely understood as not a conspiracy anymore, can you imagine the impact, like mentally, that's going to have on a mass consciousness awakening? It's going to hit hard.
It's already hitting hard, though.
So we're seeing it now with the Diddy stuff, Revelations, and how dark that scene is, and that's just tip of the iceberg stuff, which was talked about in the Cabal and even in Outer Shadows, the documentary, I think it was called. The feeling I got when I watched those documentaries, I felt sick.
Same.
I felt heavy.
Same.
I felt like I can't live with this. I can't picture this. This was so heavy on me. Can you imagine millions of people finding this out like that? What impact that's going to have? And if you find out it's worse than just this fucking Hollywood scene, and
like to be honest, like I'm the type of person I feel a lot, so like that is what really woke me up 5 years ago to be like, what have I been paying attention to? Like, you know, like when we think about like a lot of people do funding to get cancer research. There is a fucking cure. Don't fucking vaccinate people.
yeah,
Like I'm going to call bullshit on it. Don't fucking vaccinate people if you do not want to get cancer. Like it's simple as that.
Yeah.
It is linked. Like I'm sorry, I'm going to get very passionate about it because I've lost a lot of loved ones over the last few years to cancer, and don't get the fucking jacks of the vaccinations. Like, you know, heal your body.
yeah,
And do your research. Like, don't just follow what people are telling you. I do talk about a lot of that in the book, that, you know, stop being under the control. I'm like, yes, we have a government, we have all things, and I know you have to pay attention to certain things, but like, if people realize just how powerful they are without the conditioning and the reason why stuff is like projected onto us is because we're so powerful. We need to stay in line to control the narrative. Like, that's what this is about. And if we can actually look within ourselves and look at every individual on this planet, like I think we're very ignorant to thinking about, like, you have a fall, you have this natural hearing that occurs, your coke heals, you break an arm, it heals itself, you know, trees grow, babies are born, like all the things. And I know it's very probably left field for me to say that from somebody who's an IVF warrior, because I do believe that modern medicine has its place. I wouldn't have my kids without it, but at the same time, please don't be ignorant to like how powerful this universe is that we're living in. You know, like if you think about, like, somebody walks into a room, you can feel their energy because it's an energy game. When somebody dies, they don't leave us, like their energy leaves their body. I've experienced what that is like to die myself with psychedelics.
Ego death.
Whatever you take me down, I'll everything's off limits here. If you want me to go down that rabbit hole, I can.
No, definitely. Like, so not, and full disclosure, I haven't read the book obviously, but you just had the book launch yesterday. So I'm very
book launch party.
But you touch on psychedelics pretty heavily within this book.
Absolutely. So
what's your experience with psychedelics, and how has that helped you form? Like, is it have you used it to heal traumas? Is that what you've used it for?
If I'm to look at Sonja before I done psychedelics, and the way I view them because of the conditioning was that drugs are bad, they make you hallucinate. No, don't do that. Like back in the party days, I've taken, I've dabbled, but I never went through something that wasn't within my control, which is psychedelics. You would hallucinate. So the thought of that would scare me. But when your back is up against the wall, and you know, you have searched for answers as to why you can't have kids, and you're looking for solutions and all of the things, and you do all the personal development work, and you go to Tony Robbins, and you walk across fire, and you don't get burnt, and then you go to like MJB seminars. I've done work with them. When you went to spiritual healers, like in terms of women's circles, to try or infertility, when you've done acupuncture, when you've spent thousands on breathwork, like all of the different modalities that you can do, kinesiology, neurofeedback, Reiki. I fucking did everything, like everything. And then I was at a party one day, And I was at my friend's house, and this is when we were in the thick of it, and then we had just had a failed IUI cycle, which is like artificial insemination through the clinic. And we then realised, so there was this guy talking about like this, all of a sudden, this like incredible calmness came over me. And I goes, what are you talking about? And he's like, my friend was like, Laura's her name. I was like, what's this guy talking about? She's like, you're going to love this. I'm like, tell me. And he's like, I done a magic mushroom healing trip. I was like, what? Tell me more immediately.
Tell me everything.
It was like this massive like download that I got. It's like, this is the next step. It was like that inner knowing.
This is what I say to people when
the forest called me.
Yeah. Wait for the calling.
Yeah.
Because we briefly spoke off camera. How my journey felt like it just aligned that way. It just happened. And I think listeners who listen to every episode would have heard that step by step, like episode by episode, especially considering me similarly minded to you in regards to like, I was very staunch in, look, I'm sure there's some benefits to having mushrooms, but surely you can do the work yourself. And I think sometimes you don't hear it. You don't hear the messages. They're all here. I think, honestly, that's all the mushrooms do is it just gives you this gateway back into yourself so you can, the answers. But sometimes we're too ignorant and we're just too ego strong.
Distracted as well, though.
Distracted. I remember specifically in my guided journey, my mushroom friends saying he was strong. But no, I don't mean like resilient. I mean his ego. Like my ego was very strong in holding on.
So was mine.
Yeah, and they were like, this guy just fucking won't let go. He won't get out of his way. What is up with this guy? Get out of your own way. And it was me. It was definitely a strong ego, and for that to die.
It's the death of the ego. Like if you have done all and I need to probably full disclaimer here, like if you haven't done much work on yourself spiritually, developed yourself, understand that if you're playing victim, don't do psychedelics, because I'm telling you, it's going to bring you so much shadows that you need to be willing to and prepared to see, because it's confronting. You're confronting yourself.
There were so many things that I didn't realize were there, and listeners have heard mine enough, but they were there deep down. Didn't realize they were there, and they were shown to me. Even like having to call people up and apologize for my part in my own trauma, like contributing to that sort of stuff, or thank people for their role in my life, whatever, forgive, let go. Fucking tough.
It is very tough, but I also feel like when you take radical responsibility for how you show up in the world, that's how life becomes easier. Because
radical responsibility. You happen to have spoken to Brooke McIntosh?
I know Brooke through Heidi.
She talks about radical responsibility.
Well, isn't it amazing that we have so many people speaking about this in this day and age? Because like it is, and I think if we look about like just relinking the psychedelics to COVID and all of the things, like the fact that from something that was so horrendous with COVID and the way people lost their jobs and people got vaccinated against their will and all the things, I do feel like we felt our choice was taken away from us, and you have the power of choice, so with that,
well, choice, I think, is our superpower.
Absolutely.
It is our superpower, because once things become an unconscious decision, you're no longer in charge.
Absolutely.
It's a habit. It's an addiction, those sorts of things.
Absolutely.
You're not consciously choosing to binge eat that chocolate.
Yeah.
You're not consciously choosing to smoke that joint. You're not consciously choosing to just watch Netflix.
Yeah.
It's just it's a knee-jerk reaction. It's become a habit. And that doesn't mean that those things aren't okay. You can do, if you consciously choose to go, right, I'm going to have a big night on the piss tonight. But if it becomes a thing where you're just like, I need a beer, like it's just a constant knee-jerk thing, you're taking away all of your choice.
Yeah, absolutely.
Unconsciously.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. And I think the one thing that what was good that came out of COVID, it's a spark, this spiritual awakening. Where now everybody's a lot more open to the I think the amount of people that have messaged me like, who did you do psychedelics with?
The people that follow and like this podcast, in which is 90% of our content is spirituality, psychedelics, mental resilience, anti-COVID mandates and vaccinations.
The Joe Rogan of birth.
It is. Yeah. Well, the people that you wouldn't believe, some of the people we get messages from or like our stuff, and you're like, this is so much more widespread, this feeling, but they just feel like
they can't say it because not many people are saying it out loud.
I see the likes.
And it's like, wow, interesting. But I can tell you there's so many people that follow me that were of the same opinion about the jab. And it's surprising the amount of people that come up to me and this, thank you for being so vocal during those times. Like but the way I see it, I'm like, I'm going to tell my daughters in time to come that their mom walked the streets of Perth marching in the rally freedom, like I was on the right side of history. Like, not, well, to be fair, the right or the wrong way, that's kind of making what everybody has getting the wrong. But I don't believe that is truth either. I think that the one realization I had to get to in COVID, when I was seeing people around me getting vaccinated, was that I actually, and this is how I learned this through psychedelics, is that people are on their own soul path. So there is that level of, no matter me trying to change their opinion on things, their soul has chosen the end. So if they die from the vaccine, or if they've got an illness because of the vaccine, that was their soul choosing that. Correct. So no matter what I say or do, is not going to change that. And the more that I preach upon people, they're never going to want to make that decision. But the best thing that I can do is leave the breadcrumbs and shine the light and just keep being myself, and just be like, and then the amount of people that come to me like, I want to come drink the Kool-Aid. What Kool-Aid are you drinking? And I'm like, I'm motherfucking, can we catch up for coffee? I'm like, I'm not the answer. Go speak to these people.
I'm of the same opinion as you. I feel like we've got this set path. Yeah. You're going down it no matter what. And I think that the decisions and the choices we make, whether good, bad, or for our highest path or not, I think that just changes the way we get to that destination. And I've recently started to like the analogy of it's like a plane ride, It's the destination is set. You're going to that place. Yeah. And whether you make the right decisions or not is just going to decide whether or not there's enough if there's a lot of turbulence, or whether it's a smooth ride. Absolutely. And I think the resisting some of those things that come up, those signs where you're like, I shouldn't be doing this, or this is something I should do but it scares me, those sorts of things, but can I just stop you there? Because those two things, what you've just shared there, is exactly where you can start making massive change. Because like, when you know in your gut something's not wrong, that something's wrong, and you still do it anyway, you haven't got the lesson because you're not paying attention. So the more that you ignore that inner knowing, you're absolutely shrinking yourself. So, well, look at alcohol. Perfect example. I don't know if you drink, but most people, you know what? Not that much anymore. I had 2 glasses of Pinot Noir last weekend. I'm like, why did I do that to myself? I feel so hungover because I don't drink that much. You know what I mean? I don't drink too much either. And actually, last night I had a few more drinks than I normally do. We were sort of celebrating, like I'd done my run and then my partner had done her run, so we were having a few more drinks than I normally have, and I was fine to do that last night. But it is one of those things where alcohol is that perfect example of turbulence. So as long as you understand that, like, that's probably not the highest path decision you can make, and if you acknowledge, okay, well, it's probably going to make a little more turbulence on this pathway for tomorrow, maybe I'm going to feel a little rustier, or maybe I'm not going to have as much cognitive flow or be as clear, or I'm going to feel worse working out, whatever it is. That's the turbulence, and that's something that you have to, that's the deal, that's the karma. Yeah, absolutely. If you choose to have that, even if it's a life path, which could be even more turbulent, you go, okay, I'm going to go with this destructive relationship because it's comfortable to me, or I'm going to go with this job that I hate, it's killing me, it's making me sick, it's causing me stress, but I'm going to go with it because it's easier. Those sorts of things, it's going to create more turbulence. So, and even back to alcohol, if that becomes a problem, where you're an alcoholic, then it's going to create even more turbulence, destructive to your lifestyle, to your relationships, not only to your health. So I think really that's all it is these little decisions that are in your best, that align with your best self. The more you make away from that, the more turbulent it's going to be.
absolutely, completely agree. I love that you've said that.
Mm.
And I think for me, if we want to go back to the psychedelics, because I'm like, I'll go down this rabbit hole.
Yeah,
and that
yeah,
rabbit
yeah.
hole.
Well, I still
but-
want to get to yours.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
no, all good. But I feel that for me, when I think about psychedelics, it's been around for billions of years, like, and it's from the earth, it's from the planet, it's from the ground. I mean, like, we are natural beings that eat whole foods from the ground. The thing is, the reality is they don't want us to know just how powerful, once we actually can evolve our mind through psychedelics, we become an unstoppable force, so they can't control us. So, like, sorry, tinfoil hat going
Preaching to the listeners.
But the reality of the situation when it comes to psychedelics for me is that it was never a recreational thing. It was always a sacred medicine, and I treat it
Yeah.
accordingly. And all of the work that I've done has been all intention based. Like, I do it probably once every 6 months, once a year now for a tune-up, because I'm like, I've spent 350 grand on personal development work between, well, no, trying to have my babies, between fertility treatment, between all the personal development work, searching for answers, like 350 grand on the work that I've done myself. And then you can get all of that for a book that's like $35 is like,
Well,
a steal. You know what I mean?
100%. Something that came to me in meditation recently, regarding psychedelics, and I would class marijuana in the psychedelics sort of category, that these sorts of things, unless set with intention, will actually bring down that sort of vibration of that
You
person.
have to have an intention.
Yeah. And because, I mean, depending, like, if you're a person who's in a very dark place, potentially smoking a joint or
Will make you
some
more
mushrooms,
paranoid.
well, you potentially, but it also might raise your vibration, or raise your frequency because you're that low. But if you've done a fair bit of work on you and you're happy and you're in a good place, I think things like weed, alcohol, psychedelics, and all these intoxicants, even to a point caffeine, they'll bring down that vibration. And that's not going to make you feel good. And that's why, like, I know weed doesn't have the same impact it used to have for me. It used to be a high, used to be fun, used to be giggly, because I was probably not in the greatest place. And now I am in a much better place where if I smoke, it actually probably brings me down, unless I set an intention.
I love it. Like,
Yeah.
it helps me sleep.
Yeah, so if I have it,
Yeah.
if I smoke, it's sort of like, if I forget to almost set an intention if I smoke, it ends up being like you just numb out and
Well, the
fall
thing is,
asleep.
unless 100%, but the intention for that, because I at times take CBD gummies,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
like, so I don't always smoke it, but
Yeah.
for me it's like I'm juggling a lot, like, and
Yeah.
for me it's my medicine to really just ground myself into being humble.
Yeah.
And it keeps the ego in check for me. I think it's like, it keeps you humble, and for me it's been a case of, you know, grounding into my body and making sure I'm not missing the moment, being present, being able to sleep, to be the best version of myself, because I'm an absolute raving lunatic with what I've got on my mind.
Yeah.
You
Well,
know,
I'm
with all
about-
the things I'm juggling, you
Well, I'm
know.
about to get Whoop to start like the sleep scores, and I'm very interested to see if there would be a difference. And I've heard there is a difference between sleep with weed or CBD or and no CBD. So I'm interested to see.
It could be, like, to be fair, it could maybe a placebo, but I personally feel
Yeah.
I hadn't had it in a few months, and probably about 2 weeks ago I got medicinal marijuana, because there's a doctor here that does that, so it's all on prescription. But for me, like, I physically felt this release under my rib cage
Yeah,
of
wow.
my muscle just releasing,
Yeah. Wow.
because I was breathing from my chest cavity.
Yeah. Okay.
So for the first time in months, I was breathing into my body. So if the breathing in the breath of life is the
Oh,
key
yeah.
to oxygen and giving life force to your entire body, versus breathing into the chest cavity, to me, I will take the marijuana to actually give
Yeah.
my body
Yeah,
the
yeah,
tools it needs to absolutely completely unwind. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
well, it definitely helps
Yeah.
just step out from, like, if you, especially got a busy lifestyle. Like,
Totally.
I got a lot going on as well, so
Yeah.
it is probably a nice way to chill out.
but again, it's always intention. I want to have a good sleep, and I want to be grateful for the day I've had. You know what I mean?
have to have that intention, because I've fallen into the traps. I've definitely gone through cycles with certain intoxicants in regards to like, are they good for you? Should I have them? Should I not have them? Should I have them a lot? Should I just dabble or whatever? And weed's one of those ones where I've had little battles with them, like, is this a bad thing? Is this a good thing? Should I just get rid of it? Like, I'm fine to do whatever. Like, that's definitely the one where I've gone, wow, you need intention with that.
And I also feel like with weed, people that have had smoke it and that makes them a bit crazy, or they have CBD gummies that makes them paranoid or whatever. Like, I feel that is when I don't think you should really smoke marijuana unless you've done some work on yourself, or you're continued to work on yourself, because what's happening is when we start smoking marijuana, it's really unearthing some of that stuff that we haven't dealt with. And it's like, oh no, I'm paranoid. Like, I do not get paranoid when I smoke weed at all. Years ago, yes. But the only thing that's changed is I've changed.
I definitely don't. I've just noticed in the last 12 months that, and it's not like I smoke a lot now, so that's I think it was definitely a bit of an escapism for me for a while there, like 2 or 3 years ago. It's now become a thing of just sort of fun here and there. But definitely, if I do not set the intention, if I just smoke unconsciously, like what we spoke about before, and don't think about it, I'll just fall into a heap in the couch. So definitely setting intentions.
It also makes me very creative, and I'm already a creative person, so it's like I get these incredible downloads of like what I want to talk about in content, what I want to create. Like I get this massive like opening of, that's an amazing idea. Yeah. Which is why my team I struggle to keep up with all my goals.
Well, I don't know if it's a placebo or not, but just by saying it out loud, you just okay, I want to have a giggle now, I just want to have a laugh and chill and whatnot. Or this might be I want to sleep well. It works. Yeah, it does exactly what you say. And I don't know whether that's just placebo in your mind, you're actually talking to the drug or whatever, but it genuinely seems to work. But I found that that was a big part of the lead-in for my psychedelic experience, my mushroom journey. Did you have intentions with yours, and how was your mushroom journey? How did that all come about, and what did you break down from it?
Yeah, absolutely. So October 2020 was when I discovered magic mushrooms as a healing modality. And this guy that I met at the barbecue, I was like, I want to know everything about what you've just shared. Yep. And his reasoning for doing mushrooms was for him to be at peace with getting a vasectomy, because him and his wife that he was marrying didn't want kids, and he wanted to be 100% clear with that. And I was like, well, if that's not a sign for me now, I don't know what else is. Yeah. So off I went. I was like, give me her number. I need to know who this person is. Yeah. And gave me their number, and I'm not that this person's going to be unnamed because of the secret of the medicine. But this person has trained for 10 years in the Amazon jungle, with the tribes in the Amazon. She's like the real deal. Yeah. And there's a lot of people that do serve in Perth that really shouldn't be serving.
Yes. This was exactly what
Yeah.
My guide said as well.
They shouldn't. And
they've since stopped because it's such a heavy burden on them.
But this is the thing, like you can't just give anybody these medicines as well, because some people are medicated and there can be counterindications with that. Yep. And like I've heard of stories whereby people are heavily medicated and they've been given like a dose of 5-MeO-DMT and then they would have an episode of psychosis where they cannot remember driving the car. Like all these things you just can't. It needs to be in a controlled environment with somebody that's really qualified. And there's not many of them around. But again, this is all underground, you know, like again, you have to wait for the calling from the forest to call you, all those things. But for me, when I first met this person, I instantly felt safe. And we started with Cambo, which basically is put on the meridian lines, and essentially it's like a detox to cleanse.
So what is it? Cambo?
Cambo, yeah. So if there's a lot of documentaries around that as well. So I've done my research on that.
Is it a mushroom or is it a cactus?
It's onto the skin. It's burnt onto the skin. So it's like, it's called frog from the Amazon.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so it's put onto the meridian lines where we carry all the energy within our body. And what happens is over a period of time within the session, your heart starts racing, and you feel, then you would purge. Either you can get sweats, vomit, or the other end, or cry. It's a purge. So for me, it was always vomit. So you would get it in would it be 3 hits? No. That would just be the one session. And again, what that happens is it clears all of the bitterness and resentment. So it's a detox. So when you do take mushrooms, it goes really into the deep levels of the layers of the cells that really need to come up, and all of the muscle memory. And I've also done tobacco up the nose, whereby it actually helps.
Yeah, right.
The same cleansing
okay.
effect. Like the person that serves Cambo doesn't serve Cambo anymore, but she does the tobacco. And then next few days after that, like the day after I woke up the day after I did that Cambo session, like it was honestly so scary because I'm a bit of a control freak. That was my ultimate lesson, is learning the art to surrender, and not being in control, but like in the vomiting and all the thing. But like the next day I felt like as clean as a whistle. I was like, that mental chatter in my head had completely dissipated.
Yeah.
And then I was ready to do mushrooms, and my intention every time I've done mushrooms with this person, the intention has always been massive. So my trips have been huge.
Yeah.
Massive breakthrough experience. I remember doing my first mushroom trip and then ringing my mom about it, and my sisters, and then my friends, meeting them on the coast, and they're like, and I'm there like, oh my God, this is unbelievable. They're like, oh, it's so great. You had a great experience.
Yeah.
Like, what are you talking about, you lunatic?
Yeah.
So yeah, for me, with the first mushroom trip, I had I was faced with shadows from my childhood when I was bullied in school, when girls kind of went out of their way to try and physically beat me up, or when I was on a night out, people would be threatening to beat me up. Like Ireland at times, anyone that even looks a bit different or doesn't blend in with the crowd, you're very much cut down to size. And my name in a very small town in Ireland is not very Irish. So Pototzki is Polish, my dad's German, my mom's Irish. So I stood out like a bit of a sore thumb.
Yeah.
And what I also found with a lot of the shadow work that came to the forefront was that those inner demons around my self-worth and around owning my own sexuality, because I found growing up I had a lot of jealousy with girls, especially when we came to age of starting like fancying boys. Like I started having less and less friends at the time, and I didn't know what that was about. But what came up in the trip was that it was my self-worth because of my abandonment issues from my dad. So my dad left when I was 7. So so what happened is my self-worth is really, my belief systems were formed around that time on what I was worth in the world. So if dad couldn't say nobody could say. So then that meant I didn't trust anyone, and I lived in fear. I talked massively about the abandonment issues, how that ruled my life, you know?
Because at the time, you might now having not done the trip, look back and go, no, I didn't have an impact. It didn't, like, I don't know. Like, I don't think anything less or anything different of it. But in subconsciously, what you've created in your head, your self-worth, that's deep down there. And
it's everything, because like what happens in the first 7 years of our life actually forms the rest of our belief systems, and it's just constantly folding in on top of itself. It's
incredible, because some of the traumas that I had were obviously childhood, and then some of them were so minor.
But it's trauma though. As a child, it's relative to what you've gone through.
Correct.
So like anyone that's even listening, you'd be like, well, I haven't had any big trauma like that. But to you, it's traumatic, you know, and it's not about comparing. It just is, you know.
It's
and as a child, it's traumatic.
It's relative, because like, and this is not comparing like someone who's been sexually abused or to someone who's, you know, been disciplined too much by their dad or whatever. But like, at the time, that's both relative to that child.
Absolutely.
As almost horrific as that sounds, it's the way they formulate it as a trauma in their head.
Absolutely.
And it becomes a subconscious thing. And
absolutely.
if anything, those ones that are less less obvious. They're probably harder to treat because you don't even know they're there.
Well, you were probably judging yourself too, though, that it's just not. It's not like that's nothing.
Yeah,
but it is a big thing.
Yeah, correct.
You're suppressing it.
Yes,
but it is a big thing.
Yeah.
It's a big fucking thing.
Mm.
To like, and this isn't. It should never be about the comparison game. Like, if the end goal is for you to improve and be the best version of yourself, it's relative to you, and that's the goal, you know.
Yeah.
But when with my whole dad situation, he like when I looking at the analogy of a tree, when I went in and pulled that root out, like that was a deep, thick, motherfucking wound.
How did? That's interesting because listeners know that my traumas formed like a rose bush. And they all had roots on either side of the path, and they were blocking my pathway forward. And I had to go onto this beautiful new path in life and journey. I had to uproot all of the thorn bushes, and each thorn bush it represented a different trauma. Is that what you were saying with you uprooted?
Yeah. So absolutely, I love that. If like,
is that
spooky.
That's similar? Yeah.
Remind me to tell you about the cover and the willow tree and all that.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
But that root is really what was the biggest that belief was what formed all of the shit and all the chaos. So like I had to get to a point where I had to come out of my own story and see my dad for who he was as a human and what he's come from. So the intergenerational trauma that came up for me while I was tripping was about seeing my dad coming from war times.
Yeah.
My grandfather was a soldier for Hitler. Like you either kill or be killed, you know, like, you know, traumatic as it was. That's where he came from. His mom also lost her family in the war and got mixed up with the Jews and was rolled up in a carpet, and all of the Nazis came in and shot everyone in the room and she only survived because she was wrapped up in a carpet. So if you come out of like your blood relative and think about like the bigger picture here, right? So then my dad, and I'm not making excuses for what he's done, trust me, it's been a hard road of acceptance.
Yeah.
But he came from two very traumatic parents.
Yeah.
You know, like where he was the sole source of happiness in two very troubled souls' lives. He was never going to be perfect, and not that we should ever strive to be perfect, but he was always going to come with his baggage.
Yeah. And it's almost, is it like a level of forgiveness and understanding that although what he did is horrific, he was dealing with his own traumas.
I don't think he saw anything wrong with it. That's what I'm trying to tell you. Like my dad was pedestalized since the day he was born.
Yeah.
To his mom and his dad, so he didn't know the difference between right and wrong.
Yeah.
Like there's so many people that couldn't understand, like, how could he do that to his kids?
Yeah.
But my dad was an adult child that never grew up because he never had to be an adult.
Yeah.
You know, so like,
and as much as that might hurt, that's you had to come to terms with the fact.
I had to come to terms with that, but like at the same time, like he left my mom and three kids. My mom had to rear the three of us on her own. And that level of like your parent leaving and not having any reasons as to why, like other than it just happened. And you know, like there was times where I didn't speak to him for like 10, 15 years, I believe. And then when I eventually got back in contact with him, like he moved to Ireland, but where I'm going with this was that I needed to see him for what he was, but also know that there was amazing gifts that came with what he's done. So like that massive chip on my shoulder to make something of myself because I saw my mom do it, you know, like I saw what my mom went through.
Strength and resilience.
Absolutely. I saw it from her. But also I had to work and finance all my own education myself. Like I didn't get handouts, you know, I didn't come from a affluent family. Yeah. So it taught me grit. It taught me to never give up. And seeing him for what he is, like there is that level of forgiveness because again, I had to forgive him because that was the ultimate lesson of my fertility journey. I was up against a fertility journey where my inner child was running the show and I was angry with it. I was a hurt little girl that was living a life trying to have a baby, but I was a little girl trying to have a baby. Like I needed to mother myself before I could be calling that soul to mother my own child. And then interesting fact is that my beautiful daughter Sage is the bop off my dad. Yeah. So if I didn't really heal that and close that circle, would I have loved her unconditionally? Yeah. You know what I mean? Like you know, subconsciously, would there be a bit of resentment there? Probably. But even the times in the big moments of my life growing up, you know, when I was back in contact with my dad, you know, he was like, oh, you know, I was getting my master's. He was like, oh, do you want me to be there for you for your big day? And I'm like, no, you don't fucking deserve it. So no, you're not going to be there.
Yeah.
But now, like, coming from healing that pain, he's my greatest supporter at the same time. But not that I need that from him.
Yeah.
It's nice to hear. So all the things
It's
he
like
says to me.
empowering on your...
It is, but I'm just like, oh, that's lovely to receive that. But I'm like, I don't need that.
Yes.
You know, like, but he's like, oh, you're unbelievable. And I'm just so proud of you. And oh my goodness, like he's proper German, like, and I'm like, the things he says is just so fabulous. But at the same time, like, I don't need my dad for anything. To me, I don't see him as, he was never a father figure dad. But at the same time, I had to understand him for who he was to claim that German identity of mine.
Yeah.
That was owning that
part. Your own
part.
power back, really.
Absolutely, because it was a fragmented part of myself where I disassociated. Like, I changed my spelling of my first name from J to I because I didn't want to be German.
Yeah.
Like, I was fluent German as a baby, and in secondary school, which is like your high school here, like, I gave up German as a language because I didn't want to be associated, and I took on French.
So that's interesting that obviously it's easy enough to say, oh, well, I had to forgive him, or I had to move forward and reclaim my own power. How
did I do that?
Yeah.
Like, because I saw all the gifts that it gave me.
Yeah.
And I also...
Was it the mushrooms that showed you that?
Yes, and some work that I did with MJB seminars as well.
Yeah, so it's never just, I think, and this is I'm always going to get at, is that the mushrooms show you stuff, but integrating it.
Integrating is everything, you know, like it really, really is. And when I first on my mushroom trip, it started to unearth a lot of stuff. Like, it was the sexual shame around, like, the Catholic Church, and, you know, like... The rumors that were spread around my hometown about me, like, that was completely out of my control, that apparently I was with a married man, and like people who would have known my story would have known that. But like, women tried to sabotage me. Like, so I've had massive sister wounds where people have tried to tear me down. And now I live in Perth, in a beautiful, beautiful part of the world where everybody wants everyone to win. Like, that's my experience. Whereas, like, I don't think people realize just how good it is here in the business community and how people have each other's backs. You know, it's just so refreshing. Sorry, what I'm
but how this is the thing. It is the obviously first of all the awareness.
It is awareness,
and sometimes the mushrooms can make you aware of things that you didn't realize were there.
I think, you know, like it was the multiple sessions of mushrooms. It wasn't just the one trip for me. It was like every time I did a trip, it was like another step closer and another step closer. Like, mushrooms for me, the first time I did it was wild. Like, wild. I saw like everything. And then like, I had a different type of mushroom. There was blue meanies, whereas I've had truffles ever since. So I've had about 6 or 7 truffle journeys, and they've been very heavy, dense, tired, like unleashing all of the dark shadows. But for me as well, I think the biggest thing was the 5-MeO DMT trips that I've done, Toad.
Okay, so what was that? The DMT?
5-MeO DMT. So that's Toad from the Amazon.
Oh wow! Okay, wow. Okay, so
it's even stronger than your average DMT. So it's like up there as the like biggest, like the one of the most confronting psychedelics trips you could ever do. Like, mushrooms for me now, I actually enjoy, because I'll go in there with my intention and I'm out in 2 hours because the medicine knows where to go. It doesn't have to make me work for it anymore. Yeah. Because I'm like, just tell me the answer. I'm like, this is the answer. And it leaves my body. I'm like, oh.
You just surrender to the answer.
Totally, because I know it's going to show me what I need to hear rather than me fighting it. Because the more you fight mushrooms, so the more that, like, I often found in my trips, I don't know if you found this too, but like, you're trying to blame other people and you're like, oh, yeah, but they did this. And then straight away I just see this like vision of me pointing my finger, but you also did that. Yeah. But every time you're blaming somebody else, you're actually blaming yourself, you know?
Mine was consistently saying, no matter what, just give it love. Yeah. So whether it's got bad intentions, give it love. Whether it's good intentions, give it love. Just love will defeat all.
Yeah. Well, love is the key to everything. I have that in the book.
Yeah.
But 100%, I want to agree with you on that, because all of the trips that I had done, like there was a lot as well. I went into trips thinking that my marriage was going to end because of not being able to have our babies. You know what I mean? Like there was a lot of like challenging times, and at the same time I was growing a big business, you know, like that is now when I look back in it, when I was in the thick of it, never made sense when I was in it. Like it was just chaos. But our marriage was massively on the rocks, and I sometimes questioned whether we'd survive the test of time.
Yeah, wow.
But I actually also had to confront the fact that I was loving my husband conditionally. And I loved, I had that because of my dad, you know, so I had to heal that. So that actually impacted my marriage.
Yeah, wow.
You know, like healing the relationship with my dad is what helped me really heal my fertility journey.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
And I think I am truly of the opinion that that person that comes out healed isn't the same person. They're a very different person. You can meet, it feels like you're meeting a completely different person, and that's because it is. It is. I think you have that mask up. Those people, the little girl for you, the little boy for me, was a person. Was the personality, was the person that everyone knew. And when you get to let that little boy go, or that man that made some had some traumas or whatever, once that mask is gone, you are a different person.
You 100% are. But I also want to say that even when you're saying about the healed, I think that the healing never stops. The growing never, like the growth never stops. So like, as in, I don't think that anybody will go to do mushrooms and be fully healed. I think it's like, it's another layer, and it's a layer and another layer. And like, oh, that's interesting, because life is meant to show us things and meant to teach us things.
Like Shrek. Like onions. Like an onion?
Absolutely.
Layers.
Absolutely. Loads of layers.
Yeah.
So I think like what I got out of all of my trips is that love is the key to everything. Like we are all connected.
Love for yourself.
Totally.
Love for those who have wronged you.
It has to start with self-love. Like if you don't treat yourself well, or the mental dialogue that you have, and I speak about this in the book as well, like the mental dialogue that we tell ourselves is absolutely, hands down, probably one of the most crucial things that we need to take control over. Because if you think about the voices that we have in our head, because we all have them, like is that person a good person? Like is that voice a happy, or like is it negative, or it's on your, like those are the things that you need to take control of as a first step. Because I always say to myself, as in, would I say that to my best friend? And if the answer is no, then you shouldn't be saying it yourself. So it's about healing the interdialogue.
Yeah,
you know,
that's the perfect one.
It is like that is the key to everything, because like all love starts with self-love. I come from a small town where like, oh, she loves herself, or she's all about herself, you know, like people thought that I was up myself because I looked different. But like at the same time, I came from conditioning that self-love was wrong, because I saw it as this like weapon that was used against me that I couldn't even associate with my appearance. Do you know that kind of way? Like it was just that shift that I had to say is like, no. Self-love is within. It's not actually visual. Yeah. You have to illuminate from the inside and sparkle from, like you can inspire everybody else from the outside, because it's energy, you know? And I think that that's where we put so much emphasis in others, when really we need to reclaim our power, so we can overflow.
Yeah. Well, what did this Toad DMT show to you, and where did that take you?
You really want to know? Okay, let's go there.
And if you're comfortable.
I will talk about it. Yeah. Again, this 5-MeO-DMT has been single-handedly one of the most scariest things I've ever done. But again, one of the most profound. Like,
what's the fear stem from? Like the actual, are you actually scared of like,
you know what it's like to die?
As well?
You witness what it's like to die.
Wow. You
witness your body leaving, the death of the ego. What I experienced was me dissolving into the bed, and like I am nothing other than what's inside. And I almost felt my soul leave my body, and look at how my problems and what I complain about are a speck of dust in the grand scheme of the universe. and how I am everything and everything is me. And the stuff that I was blaming everyone for was actually blaming myself. And that when you are connected to people like family, for example, that's a privilege in this lifetime. However, there is many lifetimes. And what I also experienced was that you're connected to the trees. I experienced the connection of the life force energy that's in everything, that heals everything, that helps everything grow, that breathes. It's like, I was like breathing with the universe. I was like, oh gee. And I was like,
wow.
I was literally like looking at all the stars thinking, I am dead.
Yeah.
This is what it's like to be dead. This is what it's like to be on the other side in this dimension.
Back part of everything.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because in this 3D reality that we experience, everything that we experience right now, these little problems and stuff, it's nothing. And this comes to something that I've been saying a lot lately, that everything that happens to us, everything is nothing. But nothing is everything to us.
Absolutely.
So it is such a, it's, what's the word? It's, can't think of the word. It's a, I can't think of the word. Word eludes me. But it's quite interesting how that word is going to annoy me now. Anyway, everything is nothing and nothing is everything.
But you have a person that be like, what does that mean? You know, they may not know what you mean. It's
Yes.
more like, it's sometimes the most simplest of things are the things that we make more complicated. You know, like, again, it's like, oh, that's easy for you to say, but it's like, it is when you experience it. You know, it like, we are human beings that have come not just from like baby, like even if it was IVF babies in dishes, or conceived through like fucking sex or whatever. My point is that we cannot ignore the spiritual side of ourselves. And we cannot ignore that you have the physical form and you have the spiritual realm. You know, like whether you believe in God or not, or whoever you believe in, grand, but you also are praising something and putting something on a pedestal. When you put something on a pedestal, you put yourself in a pit. You're not balance. So when we look up to stars in Hollywood, we don't think that we're as good as them.
Prophets and
we are all gods. We are all equal. And this is the thing, is what people make this big downfall as well when they're growing a business, is that, oh yeah, I've got like, look at me, I'm amazing. Their ego gets bigger and bigger and bigger. I'm like, that is the worst thing you can do, because you become so unrelatable and people can feel that. So it's like, when you can be humble in the pursuit of the success, that's where you will actually 100% connect with everyone and continuously connect, because people will see themselves in you. But then they'll realize when you educate them, it's like, what you're seeing in me is within you.
Yeah.
It's not I'm any different to you.
Well, that's why triggers are generally reflective of something in you.
Absolutely.
Which is annoying, because something that makes you so angry and
absolutely
annoys the fuck
but
out
it's
of
mirroring.
you. It's mirroring.
Yes. And it's
something
like,
in you.
oh, fucking, that's a bit confronting. But that's where the work begins. So it's like, when you can actually own the part of you that why someone pisses you off. Like, there might be this one person, or there might be an incident that you have, like, just fucking don't like them. And I'm like, ask yourself, what is it about that person that you don't like, and where have you felt that in your childhood? Because I can tell you'll probably answer your own question. You don't need to go to a therapist.
Yeah.
You can just save yourself the money and just like start coaching yourself internally. But I
think the one thing to premise before anyone starts to work on themselves is it doesn't. There's no
not.
You don't have a mushroom trip and you're like,
I'm
all good.
No, you
There's
don't.
so
You have to have an interest in want to be a better person to begin
Yeah.
with, and you have to be interested to know that you are fine regardless you get the outcome you want or not. Because me and Kevin had to get to the place of
Yes.
understanding that we are good whether we have kids or not. You know, like, we are good. Like, Kevin went and done. So I started doing the psychedelics, and for our first wedding anniversary, I brought him to Tony Robbins. We walked across fire. That was our first wedding anniversary.
yeah.
Like, we have some serious work to do
Yeah.
as a couple, you know. So
Yeah.
I was doing the mushroom trips, and I was doing the Cambo and 5-MDMT, and then there was a turning point in our marriage where I had, fertility journey as well. I'd lost our first embryo transfer. And I miscarried at 8 weeks. And from then, it kind of illuminated that Kevin had a lot of work to do. And I kind of said, well, if you don't do this, well, then we can't be,
Yeah.
you know, because I can't do this on my own,
Yeah.
you know. So he then really stepped up, but that's when he made that decision to want to do to want to do psychedelics himself. And his first trip was 5-MeO DMT, and I didn't even tell him about it.
Oh.
But he was so like
Just throw
ingrained.
him in the deep end.
And this was because the person that we adore dearly, she was the person that was like, she knows what she needs to give you based on the level of conditioning and the trauma, and because he had his own stuff that he had to work through.
Of course, yeah.
You know, a lot of deep-seated trauma as well. And his trip was profound. He came home to me and he was like, babe, this is the answer to our puzzle. Like, I also had to get that, you know, like, we are all connected. It doesn't matter how our babies get here. Like, this is, you know, the missing piece to our puzzle. I just needed to show up, even though I was in the marriage. I wasn't really playing full out for you and giving you I wasn't really as present as I needed to be. Like, and this is me now stepping up and being that husband that you need me to be. So, you know, it was just profound. But he literally came to me. He's like, we're going to have our baby. We're going to have our baby. I know we're going to have a baby. And literally had the embryo transfer the following month at that stage. And I never doubted that it was not going to work, you know. But again, as I said to you, like, I don't want to discount the modern medicine piece. Like, we wouldn't have had our babies if it wasn't it. But we do have to be very mindful as well and be aware that it is that spiritual component, and they both work together. The physical and the spiritual work together. And we had that spiritual block. So a lot of people that have that explained reasons for fertility, it's a spiritual block. Do the work, but you need to want it enough to do the work. Yeah. And for us, me being a mom was the greatest goal of all time and the greatest achievement of all time. So I threw everything at it. But if I was just in business, wanting to grow my business and prove my significance, would I have gone down to psychedelics route? Probably not, because I was a bit of a control freak. You know what I mean? So it's like it needs to be worth the reward. And for me, by default, by doing the work in 2020, my business 8x in that year, that year that I started psychedelics. And then from there, it just snowballed and got bigger and bigger and bigger. Because when you think about it, business is 80% mindset. But mindset's very much only relative to the trauma that you're willing to work on, you know?
Yeah. I mean, surrendering seems to be a very common part of all self-help and self-development, and people are working on themselves, surrendering to whatever, to whether it's that higher purpose or to a higher being or a path, or just surrendering to the drug, to the hallucination and letting it take you where you want to be. But surrendering in life, in this 3D world we live in, is quite difficult because
very hard,
because we're faced with logic.
And I wanted to control everything to feel safe. That was my coping mechanism. You know, even in our relationship, I'd be like, oh yeah, I'll take control of this. And like, you know, like, that's just what has been my ultimate lesson through the journey, is the ultimate art of surrender. But like, when you take things like hallucinogenics, it's the ego that's why you can't surrender.
Yeah.
So if you take hallucinogenics, plant medicine, like mushrooms, for example, with a qualified practitioner that knows what they're doing. Just wanted to, if you missed that part at the start, don't do it unless you have done the work and you're with a qualified practitioner. But you have to, like, that collapses the ego. So the stuff that you need, that the ego is stopping you from seeing, automatically comes to the forefront because the ego is not in the way trying to stop you, you know? So that's why I believe that the power of plant medicine is so sacred, because you can't get that from talking to a therapist. Talk therapy, talk about your problems like it's the past. Like, you need to be in the present. We can create the future when we're grounded into the present. I'm gonna pause you there.
I need a toilet break. But yeah, so surrendering, what part of surrendering, what role did surrendering play in your journey?
It was the thing as to the reason as to why I constantly felt in control is because I just couldn't surrender. I just had a very tight clasp on things wanting to go my way, right? And being very oblivious and also ignorant to that there's a natural timing and process to everything.
divine timing, the universe or
Yeah.
God stepping in and showing you the way. That's
Absolutely.
something that's common now that I'm seeing a lot of people believe and surrender to. I'm
Yeah.
certainly one of them.
Yeah. It's honestly, if I even take it back a notch to my biggest why for starting my business to work around my kids. The reason why my business exists is to help business owners work smarter, not harder, so they can spend more time with the people they love the most, and they never have to worry about where their next lead in sale is coming from. So I work with business owners to help them grow on Google. But second to that, if I look back on my why for starting the business for myself, was to work around my kids, because my mom had worked so much and my dad left, you know, so it was really important for me. So if I, at the time, going through the fertility journey, I was able to I distract myself and built this mother beast of a business, because it was also my need for significance that was running that, because it's like, well, if I can't create here, I'm going to create here and create this business, you know. So if I look back and think about, you know, what I asked for was to be able to work around my kids, I got exactly what I asked for, just not in the package I asked for it. Because if we were able to fall pregnant straight after getting married, I wouldn't have my business, because I can tell you, getting a business off the ground and all the limiting beliefs and all the personal development work that's required to get it to that level, like, that's confronting on top of then being a mom. You know what I mean? Like, I know having 2 kids, going from 1 to 2 was crazy. So like, you know, I can only imagine and I can only assume, and this is what my story, and I'm sticking to it. This is what I tell myself. That, you know, like, this is exactly what needed to happen. You know, I needed to become the mother archetype that my kids wanted me to be. I need to become that version that they wanted me to be, so I could be a good enough mom to them. And, you know, they come with their own journeys, but I also needed to be able to run a successful business seamlessly by the time they did come, so I could enjoy them more. And I wouldn't have to stress and sweat the small stuff, you know. So, you know, I think there's a divine timing in everything in life, not just being a mom, but I just everything. And I just think, like, it's becoming, you need to be a student of your environment and what the universe is trying to teach you, and realize you're a spiritual being.
So was the DMT, the Toad DMT, was that divine timing?
As in when I did it?
Yeah.
The first time I did it was after my miscarriage.
Okay.
So like, this is what's going to be really kind of like, I'm going to go there with this, right? So I had the miscarriage, rang my lady.
Which is obviously a very challenging, tough time.
Yeah, it is, because we had a silent miscarriage on the first scan. So we're so excited to see the baby. And then it was an empty sac. So it was a miscarriage.
Yeah.
And then we was like, oh, we're in denial. And then we said we wait another week and go back for another scan. There was still no baby. So I had to have a D&C. So straight after that, I rang my healer, because she was like, oh, you'll know when you need to do it again. I was like, I need to do mushrooms again. So she gave me Cambo again, did mushrooms. And then when I was with mushrooms, like, what else do you do? She's like, oh, I do 5-MeO-DMT. I'm like, I had no clue really what it was. And I'm glad I didn't know, because I wouldn't have done it otherwise. And I'm glad I didn't tell Kevin what was involved, because he wouldn't have done it otherwise. Yeah. And I came there, and I did the Toad. But what I got on the other side of doing Toad was that for somebody that had just gone through a miscarriage, I was so grateful that I was able to get to that stage of my, I was able to actually fall pregnant. So I saw it as a glass half full rather than half empty. I was horrendous, but it was the closest that we never got.
Yeah.
And it was also losing the baby was the catalyst for my husband to step up.
Yeah.
As horrible as it is, it will do whatever it takes.
Yeah.
You know, so like,
when you come at it from that perspective of that we're all the same, we're all one, it's all part of the same thing, trying to learn from itself. I always find it really challenging to articulate this in a way that seems at least empathetic to the struggles that a lot of people are going through, especially from a place of privilege that I sit in right now in this fucking chair in this beautiful city with the beautiful weather and all the things I'm gifted. But if you come at it from that point of view, at the, you know, that poor kid in Gaza, or the poor dog on the street that's without home and flea-ridden or whatever, it's all part of us trying to learn from ourselves.
But that's just it, though. Like, my story and somebody else's story isn't better or worse. It just is.
Yeah.
And it's relative to that person and their perspective of what they're going through. So what I'm saying, when I assume that the people that will be listening will be awake to what I'm saying. But like, the average person that is going through fertility that hasn't done spiritual work, me saying that would probably trigger them.
Yes.
You know, so like,
heavily.
this is why it goes hand in hand. And the people who usually give up on the fertility journey, the people that are refusing to do the work because it's too painful to look at that. They'd rather prolong the pain, not withstand the tough battle, rather than going through it and actually do the shadow work.
What's that? The finding security in discomfort, or is it comfort in
I honestly feel
comfort in discomfort?
Yeah,
Because it is familiar to us.
it is familiar, but
Secure.
also it's a self-fulfilling prophecy as well.
Yes.
And again, like,
Which is why it's so difficult to break out of.
100%, but it's also, if I look at who I was this time 6.5 years ago when we were in the thick of it, like, you know, well, no, was it 6.5 years ago? 7 years, yeah. What year are we?
Yeah.
My point is that when we're going through the rough time of it all, like, I very much was a victim of my story, and now I'm a victor of my story, and now I'm a warrior of my story with my book. But the reality is, whether you see it from one way or another, like, you are very much a victim of the story. So the more that you can become a victor of the story, that is where you need to get to, you know, because the universe doesn't respond to victims. It responds to victors that own their story, you know?
Something I found recently I'm definitely guilty of is trying to help people.
You're trying to rescue them?
Yeah, and that puts them in the state of victim, and I didn't realise that that's what it was. Instead of just listening and being there, that's how I help someone. Because unless they ask for advice or go out of their way to ask you, okay, I'm struggling with this situation, what do you think is a good idea? If they've told you that and they haven't asked for an answer, and you say, well, maybe you can do this, or I can help you like this, then you're putting them in this place of victimhood, and I didn't realise that at all.
Because it's your need for significance needing to be fulfilled.
Correct. So it was like a big thing for me. It was like, just take a step back, and anyone who has an issue that you can potentially see the answer to from the outside, because a lot of people can see it. I'm sure I got issues where if I was to explain it to someone else, I know I do this often, I'll explain it to someone else and they might come at it from a different point of view that I was never going to see. And then, if someone presents it the other way around, I'll be like, well, you know, you could try this, and this. And that was a big thing for me to realise. And I've tried recently when it's come up. It's only happened a couple of times since I've had that realisation to just listen, not even say anything. And even that feels bad. I'm like, are they feeling like I'm not giving any attention now? Like, challenging.
I 100% agree, because that was also something that I had to come to terms with, as well as that, like,
they call it holding space, or
but I, like, especially doing all the psychedelic work and all the personal development work and everything I knew about the fall of the cabal, and I'm like, everything I knew about the jab, I was fucking preaching on everyone. I'm like, fucking follow me, I'll make sure you're healed. You know, I'm like, all of these things, and I'm like, nobody likes that, because again, you're pedestalizing yourself and you're putting them in pits because you're making them look stupid, when realistically speaking, you just need to own it within you, and when they ask you, then you can respond. But trying to change somebody is actually taking away their dignity as well, you know, because that they're on their own journey.
Yeah.
You need to respect that. And when people come asking for help, that's your permission slip to give it, but not until that point.
Yeah.
But I wanted to heal and change everyone. I'm like, read this book, read that book, read this book. And I now have to come to a place of compassion and knowing that if I'm having certain situations where I'm feeling depleted on things, well, then I have to stop. I have to own the responsibility of the part I'm playing in that as well, and take a step back and know that you don't have to be as available to certain situations like you have been in the past. You know, you can just remove yourself if you're getting frustrated from what you're hearing, you know?
Did you find with the toad DMT, did you find that it was, like I found in mushrooms, it's a bit more of it's like you have guides within there and they're sort of teaching you and whatnot. Is this similar in that? What's the toad DMT like?
Oh man,
Is it explainable?
The first one, yes and no. I've done it 3 times, so and I don't have any desire to do it anytime soon. I definitely will do mushrooms because I love it.
Yeah.
But you kind of need to be at a point where you need radical change to happen quickly in your life, but be willing to see what that is. What it is like, so as I was saying, I saw myself dissolving into the bed and myself leaving my body as energy. So I witnessed my own death. So one of my biggest fears in life was the fear of not being able to have kids and the fear of dying.
Yeah.
So yeah, I healed that fear of dying, definitely. So leaving my body, seeing what it was like to know that your spirit is separate from your body was the one thing. And then seeing all the grains, everything being connected. But then I saw the channel of the darkness as well. So where everything I was blaming in my life going wrong, I was holding my dad as being the main person responsible. I blamed him for everything with the bullying, leaving my mom. The reason why I'm constantly kept making the same mistakes, I blamed him for everything. But then I also realized I didn't actually blame him intelligently and blame him for all the good as well. It was just condoning him all the time, and it was that darkness that I went through, is knowing that we are all connected, and whether you're a part of a blood relative family or not, what happens is that we are all connected to everyone, and it doesn't matter if you aren't of the same beliefs of your own family. You can get your needs fulfilled and met elsewhere. So where you perceive that you're missing that connection, say in your family, whether it be like a brother or sister or a mom or a dad, you can get those needs fulfilled by having surrogate people in your life without them knowing. Think about what it is that you're looking right here, right now, as a significance. Is it even in your own relationship, sometimes we want our partners to pay us attention and tell us we're amazing. But then my husband tells me, he's like, sure, I don't get a chance to tell you how amazing you are, because you tell yourself you're amazing all the time, but at the same time, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or then I'll have my friends tell me I'm amazing, but my husband just knows, sure, you already know, she doesn't need to know. But my friends will tell me, do you know what I mean? It's kind of you can't expect every person to be responsible to fulfill every need in your life, and I think I was expecting so much of others to fulfill certain needs in my life that wasn't their responsibility, you know?
Yeah. It's one of those things of even giving without expectations, and helping without expectation of receiving anything in return.
Absolutely. And this whole other level of going from 1 to 2 kids, I never experienced the mom guilt until I've had Willow, my daughter, my baby. And when I think about the mom guilt side of things, that's definitely stems to not feeling like you're going to be enough for them. But I know the work, and this is a realization I had to come to recently. I'm like, yeah, but your kids aren't just for you. I can't fulfill every single need in life.
Yeah.
So me giving up on my dreams is not going to serve them, because I still wouldn't be happy. I need to, they have certain needs and they have their own soul path, and I still have to not abandon who I am to be just a mom.
Do you think a big part of any goal or aspiration is understanding that you don't need to achieve it to be happy?
Yeah.
As well?
Well, you're never going to, success without fulfillment is the ultimate failure. You need to, achieving goals is never going to make you happy. It's who you become.
Yeah. That's the answer. It's you, and that's that journey on the way there. And I've if anything that threw it in my face very violently was achieving an ultra marathon and running it within the time that I wanted to achieve it. Didn't care. I did. I was happy, proud of my achievement. But working towards it, the training, getting myself to a point in which I could actually run and run at that level, and the whole all I wanted to do was just go back with my daughter and my partner and just relax in the hotel room and just be around them. And it was a very in my face moment of realization that I didn't need to achieve the goal to to be happy. I just needed to enjoy the process there.
Absolutely. Like even like we're very comfortable. I've worked very hard, but like I still love Kmart clothes. I don't buy designer stuff. Like I still have jeans that are 4 or 5 years old.
Yeah.
Like I kind of, the one thing that I do have a bit of an obsession with is Peter Alexander pajamas, because I just love pajamas. My husband actually has a laugh. So I do. I like, they're a ridiculous price, but every now and again I treat myself pajamas because I just love pajamas. Yeah. Just reminds me of my childhood when my mom used to wrap us all up. But anyway, like I'm still very much a humbled human. Like money doesn't bring you happiness, but it's right up there with oxygen too. You need it to create more of what you want. But like, yeah, I certainly definitely agree with that, exactly what you've just said. Like even when I have massive goals that I've kicked, like I always balance myself out in terms of like I'm very aware of the energy, like the universal laws as well. So what goes up must come down. So if you're in a level of massive expense, which I have been, I've also been very balanced in taking pleasure in the smallest things in life, like as in like very simple, like going for my ghost walks or taking my children to the playground, and you know, like playing with my children on the ground. Like they're not small things, but to me that's the simple life is what makes me most happiest, because it balances me out the expense. But the material side of like success just doesn't do anything for me. Yes, I have a lovely car. Yeah. But I'm also a shit driver. Like I've had tips in my time. I don't deserve a nice car. Do you know what I mean? And I've learned that lesson. But you know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, definitely.
It's a huge, like I have designer handbags, but they're like 4 or 5 years old. Like I don't feel the need to go out and buy myself loads of designer stuff to make myself feel good about myself. Yeah. Yeah.
No, definitely. I talked about it at last week with Jasky about the financial, the material possessions, the monetary status. They're all great, and they are to a point a representative of your success. Yeah, but they also, and I touched on this, was they bring a feeling. Yeah, like the money brings a feeling of freedom. Yeah, and I guess your freedom within your day brings a feeling of freedom and peace, and it's not the actual the material object that you're chasing. It is the feeling that
it's
you're chasing.
It's always the feeling you're chasing, not the material. Yeah, absolutely.
But then also, obviously, chasing a feeling, that's an end goal. It's like, well, what comes next? What goes up must come down, sort of thing. So understanding that, like for me, a perfect example is just the little things, probably not appreciating them enough in fear of losing them. So I took this massive leap of faith in creating this business, and the business worked well. And then through COVID, I lost a bit of business, but realized I didn't like doing some of it. So I worked towards this, and then taking a chance at this has been fucking incredible. A leap of faith with no logic, but it's working out.
But you followed your own gut intuition on that though, and you followed your inner knowing that this was your path.
Correct.
And there's so many people that don't do that.
That's true. But still a lack of presentness and appreciation for what I'm doing because of this fear I'm going to lose it. And so I'll be sitting there, and something so simple as being at the sauna or gym at 10 o'clock on a Tuesday morning, and I should be like, oh, this is so good. I am so lucky. This is what a life I'm living. Like, it's a Tuesday. Some people are slaving away, and I'm in a sauna having a chat with someone. I fucking love my life. That's what it should be. And a part of me is always like, when does it end? When does my good luck run out? And I'm getting a lot better at letting go of that now. Of like, no, this is the reality I live in. This is what I should appreciate. This is beautiful. I am so blessed to have this. And I have taken a big risk, and I've taken the I guess, the chance on trying to achieve it. So I should be proud of it as well. But yeah, there is this, it takes me away from the gratitude because I'm afraid of losing it.
Well, I think it kind of comes back to, what does success look like to you? Because like what success looks like to me is very different to what success looks like to another person. So I think like, unless you have that like framework or that like vision on what that looks like, then that's kind of where I come from with things like that, is because I'm like, the smallest things that we do appreciate. That's been a hard lesson for me to learn as well, especially going from a mom of 1 to 2 and being busy and birthing a book and launching my podcast yesterday. You know, and the business is still growing, you know, but like realistically speaking, all of these amazing things like take time to do.
Yeah.
But like time freedom is really what success looks like for me, which is why I'm like, I got asked this question yesterday at my book launch party. Oh, so what's next, Sonja? Like, are you going to launch a book, like another book? And I'm like, absolutely fucking not. Like, I'm going to tell you now, it was single-handedly the hardest thing I've ever done. Like, because my entire book journey, like it's cost the bones of 100 grand, like to get this book out there. You know, it's a lot of money, you know, and it's a legacy piece. And I didn't get a book deal. It's very much it's a self-published book, because not most self-published authors don't make it to the bookstores. Mine was said yes to because the head of Simon & Schuster, who distributes the books globally, said yes to my book because they had a huge fertility journey.
Yeah, wow.
Divine timing, right?
Yes.
So they have a commitment to keep the book in the store for 90 days till the 30th of July. But if the book doesn't sell, they send them to be shredded. Like, that's why it's so important, because I'm not a well-known author.
Wow.
So currently my book is on the same shelf as Mel Robbins, right beside Mel Robbins' book, Let Them Theory. Do you know what I mean? So it's like, you know, like, anyway, that was just on a bit of a tangent there, because why did I go down that rabbit hole? I don't know why. I think we're talking about like, like the freedom side of things. Like, that's what success looks like for me. And somebody asking me, will I write another book? Absolutely not, because like it's come at a cost to my freedom.
Yeah. Well, that is again, that was my goal as well. The freedom of time, the freedom to be a good dad, the freedom to be able to just have balance.
I'm just so looking forward to my life being back to normal now. Yeah. Do you know, like,
but if you're blessed with what you've said is probably financial security, that's probably the one thing it's scaring me, is just like, I'm always searching, when's the next sponsor? Where does the continual security come from? And that's taking me away from that presentness. But then that's a bit of a not a conundrum, but it's probably taking away from my ability to probably generate that financial security, because I'm so worried about it.
Yeah, so I would probably ask you. Sorry, I don't mind me, because I'm genuinely curious. Where in your childhood did you not think you had enough money?
Yeah, through the whole time, because we grew up with bugger all money, so there is still that
level of fear around money.
About, like,
it's conditioning around money too, though. Yeah,
correct. Yeah, and so it's more of a, for me, those days where I do have the opportunity to just relax and go to the gym and whatever, there's this part of me going, well, because there's no set security, I don't know where it's coming from for after past 3 months or 6 months, you know. Yeah. I should be working hard right now then to make sure that the next one. And so then I can't appreciate that. Instead of feeling like I can just relax down the beach, or go have like school holidays, spend time with my daughter and have the school holidays and do all that stuff is great. But then there's that underlying,
I know, I can resonate.
I should be working. I should be doing this to make sure to provide that security so I can continue to have this lifestyle. But I'm not appreciating the lifestyle that I've created.
Yes, and I feel that in my life, but parallel to, not exactly to, in terms of that's related to money. How I feel that is that if I don't work hard enough, I don't want my clients to think that I'm slacking off. So like, I can't put on my stories about what my life, like if I take a day off, I have that a lot. I still show, and I'm still coaching myself through that, but it's because of the standards that I've set for myself. I would hate for anyone to think that I'm taking the piss.
Yes.
But again, I have a whole team that work on all the campaigns. But like, because I'm the queen, Sonja, the search queen, I'm like, I can't put up my stories that I'm fucking gone for a massage on a Wednesday, in case they're like, oh, what about my Google Ads campaign, or what about my SEO? And I'm like, I feel that level of
what's
hold
that?
on me.
I definitely had that when because I was a social media manager for certain businesses as well, and I had that exact feeling. I can't. Like, I've created this lifestyle, so I can go.
But then the next thing is, why do I feel I have to share that?
Correct. Well, this is true. So I
don't share any of that like anymore. I'm like, if I want to do it, I'm like, why did I feel like I needed to publicly share my life with everyone when they actually haven't earned the right?
Yeah.
You know?
Well, there's a part of that.
Yeah.
Lately, I've been very conscious of just like, do I have to share everything on social media? Because it is a thing. It becomes a thing. You know, just put
Yeah.
everything out there and show. And
Do you share your daughter?
I have, and I've sort of like, interesting thing because Heidi's just obviously been on.
Well, was she on your podcast recently?
No, but I've seen that she's
online,
been recently been talking
Yeah.
about the
Yeah.
putting our kids on social media.
I've stopped sharing my girls on socials because purely because I don't know how big the book is going to go.
Yeah.
And whatever you put out there, you can't take it back. Do you know what I mean? So it's
Yeah.
like now I'm protecting them, just covering up their faces with face masks. And some people will think, oh, you're wanting she's somebody now because she's covering up her children. She thinks she's famous. But to be fair, it's actually, I haven't got their consent. And I think for me, it was a story that happened at Christmas time. I was on the train going to the Christmas pageant with my husband and my 2 kids. And there was like 2 followers that recognized me on the train. And they're like, oh my God, Sonja, Sage looks so big in real life. And oh yeah. And your one fucking knew everything. And I was just like,
yeah. And this is the issue. Like I do, but me and my daughter put up a lot of stuff. Like I put up, not me and my daughter. I put it up of me and my daughter. And
you think you seem like thing is, you can think it's harmless, and it absolutely could be. But I think, especially with Heidi even mentioning to me as well about Memphis getting recognised and her not, and like having random strangers coming up to your kids, like that can frighten them firstly, but secondly, your biggest goal of like most parents are like their kids obviously are their everything.
Yeah.
But that could also be their target for anyone that wants to take it down.
Yeah,
you know?
And that's like obviously we're a bit of a controversial podcast. A lot of people resonate with what we're saying, but a lot of people don't like it as well. So there's a big part of that as well. And I don't know, just the whole idea of like, why does it matter if I put it up there on social media? Like what like it's, for me, social media has to become a tool again. Like a tool for this podcast. Great, cool.
Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah.
Very useful.
Yeah.
And look, I can have a scroll and a bit of doom scroll, see what's going on here and there. But if I'm unconsciously doing that, it's taking away my choice of doing that, and it becomes a problem. But I think you do go, and you see this with a lot of divorced people or like people who go through breakups and whatnot. You know, they want to put up this. Definitely, I see it, but I now see it in all these other people. I see what I was doing. When I was single, and you know, you almost cry for attention and sort of, or boredom, or fuck, I don't know what it is, but you see it in everyone. And now there's moments where I've started to reflect. I would have used to put that up on a story just to like let people know I'm doing this, and now it's like I don't do it, and I still do at times, but it's become severely less, and it's to a point where I'm like, well, mate, what do I need to put it up on the story for? You're like, I don't need to. Yeah. And I'm guilty of it. I still do it.
Yeah. No, I think the first step is obviously the awareness side of things. I think for me, when I see things like, you know, people putting up quotes looking for attention, I'm just like, oh, come on.
Yeah.
Like nobody gives a fuck.
Yeah,
like
I do it.
As in, are you really seeking attention on social media? Like putting up shit like that, like because you want people to DM you. You're obviously looking for connection. Get your needs met, and swear, don't trauma dump in your audience.
Yes,
you know that's kind of what I'm like. Or when people are like, just out of the doctor and they've got like something happen, and then they cry into their stories. I'm just like, for fuck's sake, like, come on.
Yeah,
like I'm just like, oh, I'm allergic. Not that I'm allergic. I'm just like, love.
But I'll do it like if I'm on holiday. And put up a story. I'm in Thailand visiting the folks or whatever. Or
that's fine though.
It's fine, but what am I putting it up for? Is it a gloating thing? Is it something?
But it's probably building your personal brand though. Have you got a personal brand behind the podcast? You do, because everyone has a personal brand.
Yeah.
Whether they realize it, because it's like people that come on and want to resonate with what you're saying is down to connection, and they want to connect with you. Yeah. That's why you're putting it up, because everyone has a personal brand in this day and age. Like, and people don't think that they do. They actually do. So you want people to be able to relate to you.
Yeah, it's I'm definitely going to take a lot less of. Definitely, my daughter's not going to feature as much anymore on my socials. I think I'm going to make my Branchy's World one private. Because even if I do put something up, of my daughter, at least I know the people, because I think the podcast and me are very separate, and I need to make a very conscious choice around.
I have 2 Instagram accounts as well.
Yeah.
I have the Search Republic
Yeah.
is the business, and then Sonja's Search Queen is my personal brand. They're separate.
Yeah, I think I'm going to even go through a lot of my followers and sort of just, sorry,
Can 'em.
yeah, this is for my friends and
Yeah.
family and people
Yeah.
who I care about.
Yeah.
Because, and also just social media in itself it seems to be becoming a bit of a, like, I'm very conscious of the addiction
Yeah.
that it has, the addictive hold it has on us all.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. And I'm wanted to just touch on what you just said there is I have an Instagram page for my girls, and I created an Instagram page when Sage was born, and I was constantly updating. It was all family and friends. And since I decided to not show the girls on social media anymore, I removed all the followers off the page. But now that I go back and look on the page and I look at all the videos, it's just such a lovely thing to witness of all those lovely, amazing moments. But essentially, those moments mirror back to me the great mom that I am in those moments where I don't think I'm enough. And that's what I've realised is actually that tool that quelled my mom guilt because I haven't posted in such a long time. You know, it just makes me realise how much of a great mom I am.
Yeah.
But like, that's where I removed all my family and friends. I'm like, why does everybody need to know? Like, it's just, these are my kids. These are our kids. This is the life that we're creating.
Yeah.
And it's, you know, how we choose to capture these moments. That's what it's about. It's not about people knowing how much great parents we are or how amazing our kids are growing or developing connection with them when they haven't earned the right. Do you know, family's different. And we have family Ireland and Australia. But my point is that when they meet them, they can experience that.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be online.
Well,
you know?
and this is the thing, like, people will come up to me, like my friends will even say, oh, fuck, you're such a good dad. And I'll be like, oh, cool. That's probably because I've put it on social media and you see it and you probably see the best of it. And you probably, it probably gives that I mean, I am a very good dad. I know I am a very good dad, but you only know that because I've put it out there. Whereas I see, like, my best friend, he is the best dad he is one of the best dads I've seen. And he doesn't post on social media. Like his wife will post sometimes on social media and put some stuff up with the kids and the family outings. But the effort and the work that he puts in as a dad, and no one will go up to him and say, oh, you're a great dad, just because I don't see it on social media. So you're like, well, fuck, you are doing it for almost a bit of recognition.
You are.
Instead of just like being the great dad for just being a great dad.
But that's the thing. It's like I've realised that my Instagram page I had just for the girls that was private. It was mirroring back to me about how much of a good mom I am. So I was like putting together a slideshow for the launch party yesterday. It's up till 2 a.m. on Friday night trying to just get it all finalised. And I was like looking at all the lovely moments and all the collection. I'm like, oh, fuck, I'm such a good mom, you know?
Yeah, that's a nice moment, isn't it?
You know, I'm like, wow.
Yeah.
But I just never gave myself the time to reflect just how much of a good mom I am, you know? And that Instagram page was that tool to reflect back for me. So since I've obviously stopped sharing on socials, I've started to doubt, am I a good mom? Because people aren't seeing my kids or aren't seeing it in the DMs. Oh, your kids are amazing. You're a fabulous mom. How do you do it all? Blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, am I a good mom? Because nobody's telling me. You know what I mean?
It's ego serving. I get it.
100%.
And I think on a mass level, Instagram is that, and Facebook and these other things, they are ego serving.
Absolutely.
To a point. But obviously there's an addictiveness to them about, like, you know, you scrolling, watching these short clips. We're guilty of contributing to that. We use it to get our podcast out there, and it's probably a big reason that we've been so successful recently. But it doesn't mean that most of what we see on there is just the best version.
It's the highlight reel.
It is the highlight reel. And then it creates this comparison journey.
Their life is better than mine.
So I
nobody would know, like, and I'm going to share this because nobody would know. The last 18 months for me has probably been up there as probably the hardest time, second to fertility, that I went through. Yeah. But nobody would know that because I can't share that just yet because I'm still in it. Yeah. And I won't share that because I don't want to trauma dump on my audience. You know? Yeah. But I also do write in the book, like, my postnatal experience with my daughter Willow was really difficult, like really difficult, like, and when my daughter was 3 weeks old, I also got one of my best friends back in Ireland got diagnosed with bowel cancer, stage 4 bowel cancer, 37 years old, and she was gone in 10 weeks, you know, and then like already going through a tough fertility journey. Then shit happened in the business. I needed to jump back in way earlier than I liked. Sleepless nights at the baby, grief, you know, and then battling some other personal stuff with family, you know, like.
Oh, it's not.
It's just been really heavy and dense that my life has been very inward, and I'm quite a social butterfly, but I haven't felt my best self to want to be around people. But people would never know that.
Well, where does that I guess start to build into the resilience side of this? Because the book is about searching for resilience. Like the resilience in you is obviously very strong because of what you've been through, whether it's minor or massive. Those little things that we've been through, they create a certain resilience. What I'm seeing these days, and I don't want to sound like that guy is like, back in my day, but you know, what we're seeing is specifically now in modern times, we're guilty of it as well. We're full of things that give us instant gratification. Even as far as, you know, we've got the kids with the social media and the YouTube kids and watching whatever they want to watch. If they don't like it, flick on to the next one. Even when we were kids, we had at least ads that we had to wait for. We had to, you know, we had a schedule. We had to get the TV guide. So even as simple as something as, I guess it's spoiled, but as simple as that, we had to wait for our TV programs. We had to record them if we weren't going to watch them. Everything's instant gratification, so it seems to be like we're in this world where resilience is something that we probably need more of than anything.
Yeah, absolutely. Couldn't agree with you more. And this is exactly what plays into my business as well, like with resilience and Google. Like people come to me thinking that I'm going to make them a millionaire overnight, and that's just not possible. And I turn people away all the time. And the reason being is like, with Google, it takes time to see the result. But when I have clients coming to me wanting to work with me, they assume it happens overnight. And then you watch the first 3 months are the most difficult with any client campaign, especially when it's not going straight forward, because we need to do more testing with Google. We need to do more optimizations. I haven't fully found the sweet spot. And then they start to doubt what you're doing. And I'm like, as I said to you, this takes time and there's no guarantees. So you either trust me or you don't. But if you don't trust me, this is never going to work. You know, so it's like, people are expecting fucking things like yesterday, and when they don't get it, they get angry. And I'm like, you know, you need to wait in line. The same as like when you meet your significant other, you know, you don't expect your man to drop the knee and propose to you the next day. Like, you know, it's the same with Google. Like you have to date Google for a while and then you get your happy after. But in terms of like everyday life, that is why we need to do the discipline and the self-focusing and have our own daily rituals and do the routine that is going to help us become the best version of ourselves. Because doom scrolling is an easy choice, but it's actually quite detrimental to the connection between you and yourself and you and others.
Oh, massive.
It's a huge problem.
I feel it with myself and with others. The self one, like if I'm just by myself at home, you feel it with the detachment from self. Yeah. This void. Yeah. It's beyond. And I think in the lead up to this book launch and then the launch itself, like I absolutely fucking hate my phone, really. Like I love it because of like business, but like the other side of like I physically have to turn my phone off at like 7:00 every night if I'm not in a book launch, obviously. But like I struggle to try even keep up the comments and socials and DMs at the moment. And I feel at times my brain is like a server, you know, like, but like as humans, doom scrolling actually creates stress on the body as well. You know what I mean? Like it's creating stories about shit that's not even real. It's all one-sided. You know what I mean? Like you're not like seeing the both sides of the story. You're just seeing how amazing their life is, and then all of a sudden you start feeling shit. You know? I noticed it with my daughter. With regards to something as simple as swimming lessons. I'm reasonably present with my daughter. I'm definitely falling into traps, or I think all of us do. But swimming lessons, like, you know, it's the same lesson over and over and again. So I think after a while I got used to just, I'm just going to go on the phone. I'll check up, make sure she's doing okay, look back down and go on the phone. And there was one day where she said, Dad, no phone today. And I was like, oh, fuck.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, she notices that I'm not watching her in swimming lessons. And that is a big impact on her. So I was like, oh, fuck. I felt like a prick. I felt like an arsehole. I felt like an unpresent dad. So it's only been the last 2 or 3, I think, lessons again. Down there, phone away, watching every part of that lesson. And like she'll finish doing one swim and she'll pop her head up and then she'll look up at me, make sure I'm watching, and then she'll give me the thumbs up. And
you missed that moment, though.
And she's improved so much by just being watching. And you're like, fuck, wow. Big impact that phones are making.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
you have to be conscious of it. Like I you know, the fact that you are conscious of it and you're making those, I think it's you getting those subtle hints are serving you, but like some people ignore these and don't do anything with them. And like, I know for me, for one, I don't want my girls to ever think that they're competing for my attention with my phone and that the phone is more significant than they are, because that automatically starts building their self-worth. And the first 0 to 7 years of their life is where all their belief systems are formed. So if they think that a phone is more important to them, their self-worth, they're going to grow up looking for their need for significance with people that aren't going to be healthy because they don't feel it within themselves. So that's why they're like detrimental phones around kids, like are just hugely like damaging. You know what I mean? Like, don't get me wrong, I don't get it right all the time. Like, I try not to be around on my phone near the girls because I don't want them feeling the need to compete. But like, this is another reason why I'm going to be very mindful of the goals I take on in future, because you know this is a time you never get back. You know.
Yeah, it's quite difficult to navigate because we fall into these habits, and sometimes it's nice to just shut off and doom scroll. Like,
I absolutely love when I can turn my phone off completely, though. Like, and not anyone know me or contact me, and I'm like, they're like, because I actually physically turn it off every night because my brain is connected to the brain.
Me and my partner are going to Oasis in Manchester, and so we're flying all the way there to watch this fucking gig, and we've both been very consciously talking about on that day we need to be present. We are not flying over to another country and going on this trip to fucking watch it on our phones. And I'm sure I'll put up a story, I'll take a photo or something of the band, but it'll be very brief, it'll be very limited, and it'll be, I'm here to watch this band. But it can't
Who
just
are you going
be
to watch?
Oasis.
Oasis. Oh,
so it can't be just that. Though.
Yeah.
It can't just be like, this is a big gig, I need to be present. It has to be, I'm having dinner with my daughter, I need to be present. Like, I'm having a coffee with a friend, let's be present. I'm watching TV with my partner. Let's both watch this TV program together. And that sounds silly, but like just doom scrolling.
People don't realize how damaging it is, though, like to others around them. And what they're doing to themselves. They're making themselves. You can't connect with a phone as you can with a human. And I don't think people realize the barriers that it actually creates in relationships as well.
The boundaries I need to start, I've started and I need to continue to set them, are the phone, because the phone is a big part of my work. It's a lot of my work.
Absolutely.
And so the lines get blurred when I work from home. So this is my office, and I try, and I did it really well for a few months earlier. I need to get back into it. At least 3 or 4 days a week, even when there's not a podcast, I need to come in here and do my work from here and then go home. And then anything on the phone is just if it's a message from a mate or something like that, and the rest has to be away. Because the lines are blurred so easily.
How did you go with your partner and you with the phone? Again, given that your work is, because I have my work is on this as well.
She's very aware of the same thing. She's very conscious of that. But again, like I even said to her recently, I'm aware of it, and the lines are blurred, and it's hard. She would never know if I'm working or if I'm just scrolling. So what an asshole thing to do. Like, if she's wanting to chat and talk, if I'm just doom scrolling, fucking talk away. But then she doesn't know when she can do it. So, like, that's a thing that I've become aware of.
And men can't multitask either.
Yeah, well, fucking men. She's become very aware of that. I cannot.
You can't doom scroll and listen to her.
I can't do anything and listen to anyone. Like, if I'm doing one thing, I need to put everything down and listen. Like, I'm
My husband reminded me that of, was it yesterday? I done something 2 days ago. When was yesterday?
yeah.
And he was like, I was like, why can't you like listen to what Sage is saying, you know? Like, I think it was on Saturday.
Yeah,
Saturday afternoon. He was making dinner. He was peeling the spuds.
Yeah.
And she was like, daddy, daddy, daddy. And then he's like, yeah. He was saying to her, I'm like, can you not just give her a minute? Like, can you just not talk to her? Like, not say yeah. He's like, babe, you know, like, men can't multitask. I'm like, oh, yeah. Gotcha. Whereas women could be like, yeah, baby, and juggle all the balls, you know?
Yeah. Oh,
so, yeah.
I've tried and I cut my finger or something like that. It's
And
just,
he's done that before too.
Yeah. So, or I just half-ass everything and fuck it up and then I'm like, and then explode.
I know.
So, but yeah, no, definitely it's one of the, I think the phone is, this isn't just me or you, this is everyone. This is a big
problem.
It's a big problem.
Yeah, we did. Me and hubby, we wanted to we do normally put our phones away. Probably before Willow was born, we used to put them away at like 6 or 7 o'clock.
Is it sad though that we have to enforce this, or should we just have discipline? And this is where I get, we're like, okay, if there's something I want to be avoiding,
whatever works for you, I think.
Well,
you know,
if it's fast food, for example, and this is like the navigation I've been having lately. Like if I don't want to eat, my whole life is like, if I don't have it in the fridge, I won't eat it. Like if I don't have alcohol in the house, I won't drink it. Like so, I don't have that urge to go to a shop and go get it. So, but then if is it bad that there's no discipline for me to be able to, there's chocolate in the fridge and I can just leave it there and not eat it? Like, is it bad that I'm not disciplined enough? Or, and I would argue the same with the phone. Is it like, well, I should just be disciplined enough to not need it? Or is it just like, maybe we're just living in a world now where, we have to make extreme actions.
To be honest with you, sometimes things that we do is habitual.
Yeah.
Like, I deleted the apps off my phone and I literally, you know, like, even if you move it even on your phone or whatever, like I at times do, like on especially Christmas, like all my clients are on leave.
Yeah.
I get my team to physically change my passwords on everything.
Wow.
So I can't access it.
Yeah.
Because I know that part of me wants to, I need to be fucking cold hard boundary. Otherwise I will just do exactly what I don't want to do. Like, you know, like, yeah, I can be disciplined and Maria fine, but I'm like disciplined in other areas. It's about me caring enough that shit doesn't hit the fan when my eyes aren't on it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
but if I know somebody else has got it,
yeah.
You know, but like,
yeah,
I don't know. It's like that
That's
vicious circle.
And this is the thing where it's constant growth, isn't it? You can be across everything else with your self-development and still understand your flaws and your weaknesses, I guess. So that's not a bad problem. But like, how important is discipline for our resilience?
Yeah, I definitely believe that discipline and resilience is everything. Again, I'm a work in progress. I don't have all the answers figured out.
I think we're all a constant work in progress.
Absolutely. Oh, no, we all are. But discipline and resilience is a big thing, especially I think is getting in touch with who you are and learning to master your inner child and learning to master your inner demons is what my book is about, you know. And I suppose it takes guts and courage to face the darkness head on, and most people don't, you know. Most people do try and shy away from the darkness, but embracing the darkness, this book that I wrote, The Search for Resilience, will actually help you navigate some of life's toughest challenges, because nobody gets out of life unscathed, but discipline is a part of that for sure.
Yeah. Well, I'm obviously conscious of your time. I've been going for a bit, but I don't know if you...
Do you want me to talk to you about the cover?
Yeah, well, that's what I was about to say. So, the cover...
Do you like the cover?
Yeah, Search for Resilience.
What does it speak to you? Tell me.
Well, so for the people who are listening at home, it's like the silhouette of a face that's been made up by a tree that sort of branches off in multiple... Almost like the synapses, parts of a brain, and I guess the way that there's so many different branches in I guess our thinking and our thought patterns and everything's connected in certain ways. That's how it comes across.
I love that you've said that, because a few people have said that, because that's absolutely true. Also, this was meant to be a willow tree in the front as well.
Okay.
And again, the synapses of the brain analogy is also quite symbolic, because of the book is a mindset book as well.
Yeah.
So the willow tree is the name of my second daughter is Willow, and the spiritual meaning of a willow tree is resilience.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So yeah, it ties into both the girls have quite spiritual names. So Sage is the spiritual meaning is wisdom and healing. Sage Faith, and then Willow Hope. So yeah, so they're very alternative.
Beautiful names.
Yeah, they're gorgeous little girls. And the book cover, I signed off on that the day that I had Willow. So
I love that.
Exactly 9 months.
Wow, that's classic. And then so the search for resilience, is this about building resilience, or is it about
It's a guidebook. It's a guidebook showing you how to search.
How to search.
Yeah. So I had my book launch party yesterday.
Because telling someone how to do, like, how
no, it's showing you my journey and what I did.
Yeah. And
so I'm not in this book. I'm not talking about anyone other than myself and the journey I went on. And at the end of each chapter, there's activities that you can do to unleash the resilience within yourself and know what you need to do. But what was funny yesterday is at the book launch party, there was so many people that have read the book, you know, or read some of the, each page I turn, it's like, do the fucking work. It's like, that's their inner voice telling us, it's like, that's the sentiment. It's like, I need to do the work. You know what I mean? But it is very confronting, some of the stuff I do say, and it will trigger. I hope it triggers you, because it'll get you to think differently.
Yeah.
And it's a body of work that I'm very, very proud of, because it's the legacy I'm going to leave behind long after I'm gone. And the fact that my children's children, future generations can pick up this book and learn about what I stood for and what I'm about. It's within all the pages of this book. And we are living in a time where the world needs more warriors, and we all need to step up to that challenge and own the power that we bring to the world, own our inner resilience, our inner warrior, reclaim our power, take control of our life, whether that's a fertility journey or not, because this is not all about fertility. This is basically, the fertility journey was the catalyst to then crack up and open all the demons, which is where I go down the mental health challenges, the imposter syndrome, the building the business to 7 figures, the literally the inner abandonment issues, the inner child work, the intergenerational trauma. The fertility just opened up that floodgate. So it's whether you've had a fertility journey or not, picking up this book, you'll be triggered, because I can tell you there'll be stuff that you haven't probably even thought about when you read it. Like, oh my God, that's me. I didn't realize I haven't dealt that.
You can draw parallels with a lot of different situations, can't you? Yeah.
It's going to speak to so many different people. There's men that's read this and they're like, fucking, there's no hiding place here. I really need to do the fucking work.
Well, what's that like to be so, and I can speak to this as well, being so vulnerable and exposing of the own details of your life.
Yeah.
What does that feel like, that people know everything about your life and you don't know anything about theirs?
I think I went through it for a reason, and it was to help other people to realize their own power. I think, look, I wouldn't have shared this if I didn't see the lesson in it. So this book is full of lessons. And people know so much, knowing so much about me, I'm okay with, because I love who I am. And that's all that matters. So what anyone thinks of me after they read this book, I can give a flying fuck. Yeah. Do you know, I'm like, at the end of the day, this book has been a journey of self-growth and loving who I am, regardless of of what anyone else thinks. And the reality is, not everybody likes Coca-Cola. Not everybody likes fucking a lot of things in life. And if there are people that don't like me after this book, fucking great. I stood for something that I care about, you know? But that's just a natural series of events. You're going to have good and bad, and people are going to like you. People aren't going to fucking hate you. And that's always about them, not me. You know?
You got to build some resilience, don't you?
You got to build some resilience and swallow a bit of humble pie, maybe.
I'm aware of the feeling and the sensation of people knowing things about you, and you don't know anything about them, and it can be very vulnerable and confronting. And but this, like for me, this sort of, I guess, being okay with who I am, and comfortable with what I've said and done in the past, and also being able to own that, like, you're not perfect, and you're going to make mistakes in the past,
always,
and issues, and is quite comforting as well in the end.
Absolutely, and I want to agree with you on that for sure. But I also wanted to just draw a focus to the fact is that if I still like the fact that people know so much about me in this book versus the amount of lives I know this book is already changing, what would I want? More. I would like, the fact of the matter is there's going to be more lives being changed with this book than there are people that are not going to like me.
Yeah.
Or the people not are going to like, or me being so caught up in what people think of them knowing this about me. It's like the fact that it can help people in their darkest days know there is hope. Like the floods of DMs I've gotten from yesterday, the people, what they've said to me yesterday, they're like, fucking hell, like I had no idea. I suppressed this. Like, thank you for your honesty. You give me hope. I had no idea you went through that. Oh my goodness. Talking about sister wounds. Like, I spoke to a whole room of 100 women yesterday. Well, there was actually some men. There was about 10 men. But like talking about the sister wounds, about women tearing each other down. Like, I went through that a lot in Ireland, and then coming here and seeing everybody raise each other up. Like, how fucking refreshing is that? Like, and when women come together, they're an unstoppable force. Nobody needs to compete with one another. We are all one. And the amount of people that come up to me after, like, I totally forgot I was bullied in school, and you've just made me realize that actually is the reason why this thing keeps happening in my life. And I'm like,
well, this is that one that if it affects that one person, and they hear that
it's
one
its
thing,
job,
exactly. And
not about me though. Like this book is far greater than me. It's something that far outweighs my test of time, all of the things, and I know it's going to, like, I feel like my purpose in this lifetime was to come into this world to be a chain breaker and break those chains of intergenerational trauma, the conditioning, the Ireland, the Catholic Church, the fucking spirituality, the things that I'm questioned about, the medical industry. Like, obviously I'm an advocate for IVF. There's a place for modern medicine, but there's also a place for plant medicine. There's also a place for spirituality. They can all coexist. You don't have to be one or the other. You can be a bit of this and a bit of that. You don't have to be all medical. You don't have to be all plant. You can be right in the middle, in balance, just like plus and minus. Also darkness and light. The balance, equilibrium is what we need to actually come to in life, I believe. The
middle way is commonly
neutral.
It always comes back to the middle way. The Buddhists, they talk about the middle way.
Yeah.
You even see it in divisive topics like politics.
Absolutely.
Are you left wing or right wing? Well,
are you red pill or blue pill?
Exactly. Well, fuck. What's right and what's wrong? Like,
doesn't matter. It just is.
Well, yeah, exactly. Yeah. So
be impartial.
Be neutral. It's easy to fall into camps. We all do.
And I was in fucking the warrior camp, marching the streets of Perth when the COVID jabs, and I'm like, that was served purpose at the time, but I was very much the other way. Whereas now I'm like, I realised that even the people that did get jabbed, that they did what was best and based on what they believed was their decision, because that was their choice, you know. You know that, you know, it doesn't make it right, or it just is, you know.
Well, I think people are going to enjoy this book.
Well, it's in all the bookstores. So
well, based on what you've spoken about today, it's going to be very interesting. And would you say it's number one in about
seven categories, and 3 of the categories are marketing on Amazon.
Wow. Yeah.
So, like, it's not just fertility; it's a marketing book to boom your business.
Resilience, building the warrior, mental health. There seems to be a fair bit going on there. So, anything you want to plug before we finish up?
Yeah, look, if you are in any of the Dimmick stores across Australia and you don't see the book on the shelves because it's sold out, just ask at the counter, can I have the Search for Resilience? They can order it in for you. That then sends a trigger to the bookstore that this is a worthy read, and then they keep buying more keep ordering more books.
Perfect.
Please don't wait till after the 30th of July to get my book. Please support me in the 90-day launch, please.
Yes.
And please connect with me on socials. Share your biggest aha moments, and if like, you know, anyone that's going through a tough time, use this as a gift to pass it and create the ripple effect, because, you know, we are all here to unite and to become one. And I really feel that this will be able to help anyone withstand life's toughest challenges. So it's available in Dimmicks, QBD Books, and also WH Smith. It's also available in Australia and New Zealand. And Dimmicks Carnup have all signed copies. They should have a lot of signed copies. And they've been an amazing support here in Perth. So yeah, thank you so much.
Perfect.
And if you're looking for Google, you know where I am.
Yeah.
The queen of Google here.
Perfect. What do I got to plug? Nah, not much. Oh, get down to the June 12th. We got the Squealing Pig stand-up comedy room opening back up, I think, for monthly shows. June 12th. I think the ticket link is in our bio, but if not, head up the Squealing Pig Instagram, and you'll find tickets on there. But yeah, aside from that, thanks so much.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
Awesome episode. Really enjoyed that, and I'm definitely looking forward to getting into this
down
book.
So many rabbit holes.
So many. And you'll have to jump back on when Delby's here as well, because he loves the resilient stuff. So
Absolutely.
But yeah, cheers.
Love it. Thank you.
Thanks. All right.